Yo, 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 what's good, my people? What's good, my people? It's your boy Jason Gooner back again with some more live content for the people. You don't know we are in the building, we are here to have a little discussion, people. I had left the Reggae Boyz content alone for a few days, been focused on the football that's being played, the Euros, the Copa America. Yesterday, of course, um, had a lot of family members in Jamaica bracing for Hurricane Beryl to pass through. And, I had some time yesterday to do a program. I was going to do this program yesterday, actually, but I thought it made better sense to just leave yesterday alone, not put any content into the space and just kind of, wait out this hurricane and everything. On a personal note, where my mom and dad live now in Jamaica, everything is intact. Just some minor window damage. No issues with the roof, which we were kind of worried about going into this one. But thankfully, we were spared in that regard. And do have some family members, one especially in Mandeville that I know had a very tough time. So, prayers go out to anybody that was greatly affected by the hurricane. And we're hoping that, we saw some schools had some damage as well. We're hoping that the government can move swiftly. We know they have that fund in place. The prime minister said that we would be ready, and no more than 3 days to get the country back up and running if we got a really bad hit. And I know some areas of the country did get a really bad hit. So thoughts and prayers go out to all the families that have lost things. I'm not really sure how things are going as far as deaths or anything of that nature. Still keeping prayers and everything open for that, just hoping that we don't hear any crazy numbers with those things. But yeah, hopefully what could be salvaged was salvaged and people can put the pieces together and move on with their lives, knowing that there's still a lot more hurricane season left. But people, all we can do is keep good faith and hope that the Lord blesses us, which by most accounts it could have been a lot worse yesterday. So we're thankful for that, right? So yes, people, as you see in the title, the thumbnail, resignation, resigns. Where do we go from here? Hearing names, but who is realistic? Yeah, people. So we're just gonna go through a bit of the events that led up to the resignation of Hallgrimsson. I'm gonna play his final interview where he was asked a few questions, try to make some sense of what was said there. Then we'll move into, a lot of this program is going to be, things that we try to put the pieces together. Some things. This is not coming from a standpoint of investigative work or anything. This is just, me as an onlooker, someone who I would say, keeps up with all the things going on in the football as far as the Reggae Boyz is concerned, the JFF is concerned. I would say it's an informed opinion on things, right? And of course, this is an interactive show, an interactive channel. So as we have the discussion, we're definitely going to be highlighting the comment section as well. You know how you can support us. You hit that like button. That's the first thing you need to do. I see 22 people in the chat currently. Hopefully we're already at the 22 likes. That would be great. And yeah, if we can keep that ratio going throughout the day, I'm sure that we'll have the likes that we need to get on this video. All right, people, remember as well, you can always share the content. So if you have any people that you think might not know about the channel, might be interested in the type of content that we bring, absolutely, man, share it around. Share it in your groups, your various anything, your family, your friends. Let them know Jason Gooner TV. Somebody that has a perspective, one that is grounded in information gathering, and somebody that prides themselves on, if I turn on the camera to speak about something, I have done some research, and that's why I'm turning on the camera. All right, people. And of course, subscribe to the channel, people. I see the subs count growing. We've been having a lot of fun doing the live watch alongs for the various competitions right now. It was a nice diversion from a lot of the craziness going on with the Reggae Boyz and the resignation. But yes, I want to give them some time. It is my team. I have some thoughts on everything, and we're going to discuss all of that. All right. So yeah, Cranky, that is crazy, right? So they need to do better with that ratio. The amount of people here should at least be liking the video, people. I mean, it's not that difficult, right? So when you get to the show, you hear me talking. I might not have asked you to give time, But that's a part of the reason why we're here. We need you to like the content. That helps us to let other people know that we're live, puts us out there in the algorithm. And when people join YouTube, they might just be looking and seeing what's going on. If you guys are liking the video, then more people can join you. The more the merrier in the discussion, right? So how we like to do, people. We like to, for the most part, how we do these shows, whenever it's a discussion-based show, we like to play something for the people that maybe puts everything into context. I thought for this assignment today, it would be good to just play. I think it's about 20 minutes. So we're gonna run that straight through. I'll be looking at the comment section throughout. If I see something pressing that we need to talk about in real time, I will stop it and we talk about it, and then we press play again. But I would like to just run straight through this, because I do think that a lot of the things that we're going to hear in this can help to frame this conversation that we're going to have today, right? So let me just bless up the people who feel like speaking. I see we have about 30 odd people here. That's great. Jason, bless up yourself. My namesake, my brother in name on YouTube. Bless up yourself, Jason. 433 Presser. Everybody, you guys should know by now, 433 Presser does create content as well. Some would say controversial. I just think he understands how to drive a conversation. We'll just put it that way. So big up yourself, 433 Presser. Everybody check out his content as well. Very good content, good points of view, and not afraid to speak his mind. That is very good. Sylvester Whittingham, bless up yourself, my brother. Thanks for being here. Ricardo Baggio. Yeah, man, Jason. That is actually my father's name for me. Always called me that, Jason. Yes, that is true. Michael Woodburn, bless. Cranky, yeah, man, we don't like them numbers. The 10 like with 28 people. Them not treat the thing right, man. Me hear you get hard on them from where they, Cranky. I burn them out when them not like the video. Looks like my take on the same stance they know. And Cranky as well has his own platform, people. Cranky Live just started where they, and man fly past me in a subscribers, So perhaps something Cranky is doing, I need to take a page out of, but no, man, big up yourself, Cranky. Very happy for your growth on the channel, bringing some quality content to the table as well. And big up yourself as well. The other day I was on the live, and Cranky Speid made an appearance, and actually I did go back and revisit that program this morning just to get some more context for my show. So thank you for that content, Cranky. Definitely helped to get this one done today. Jeremy Lee, yes, I am going to do a call-in segment of the program. I will drop a number at that time, and I will need everybody to be calling in on WhatsApp. We will be able to communicate that way as well. So yes, at some point, Jeremy Lee, I will be dropping a call-in number. I'll probably have it running across the screen. So when that time comes, definitely we will be accepting calls today. All right. Yeah, I will be doing that for sure. So as I said, people, the first thing I want to do just to start out this program today, and make sure you guys are smashing that like button. That is very, very important. Me hail up my cousin. Big up, cuz. Thanks for tuning in. I know you might be busy and everything, but just drop a like for me. And yeah, man, just have it running same way, All views are created equal, So yeah, man, view the video same way. Yeah, man, Cranky, respect for that. That was very enlightening. He was coy. He kept his professionalism for the most part, but he did drop some subtle hints that we'll be touching on in this program today. Hamilton Brown, big up yourself. Yeah, man, Hamilton, I agree. It was you can see that him and Stan have a rapport, and I think that helped the conversation to go along nicely. I mean, even questions that maybe would have been taken as too biting from others, I think coming from Stan's side of things, Mr. Speid, while he may not have answered, it didn't become okay, I have to get off the program type of thing. It was, the conversation was able to keep flowing. So yeah, man, I enjoyed that conversation. It was impromptu, and I think in a way that might have been better, because I thought it made the conversation flow. So yeah, I got some good things. Can we pose some questions to you? Absolutely. Anytime, Jeremy Lee, anytime. This thing, as I said, is an interactive space. I could have done this video, pre-recorded it and put it out, but I like the idea of getting challenged in real time. I like the idea of making it an interactive conversation, because while I, do think that I'm intelligent enough to drive the conversation, I don't think that I'm above criticism or not even criticism. It might be something that aids me in my conversation. So yeah, man, by all means, put your thoughts in the comment section. I'll do my best to highlight them when time permits. Yeah, so let me play this for you guys. Some of you may have heard it, some of you may have not. Either way, I think it's important for context. So we're gonna play it. It's about 20 minutes, people. So yes, while I'm playing this, just give me a thumbs up when you hear it and tell me that you guys are hearing it just fine. All right.
Everybody, we have the Copa America, and then of course the way forward.
June was a lot of games. First, 2 wins in the World Cup preliminaries. I would say pretty much secured our spot in the next round with these 2 wins. And then this preparation for Copa America, an important one for Jamaica. I think we learned a lot on it. Maybe not, thinking back now after the loss against Venezuela, maybe not 100% ready, but a lot to learn from this experience. Good opponents, intensive games, first 2 games down to margins, and you need to fight for your margins. And this will be a good experience for the players, for the coaching staff, and for the federation.
And before we open the floor for questions, Coach, just want to speak briefly about the way forward and also any other remarks that you would have.
No, just want, as it is now official, I have decided to step down as the national team coach for Jamaica. That was decided prior to the tournament. I had a good conversation with the president prior to the tournament and told him that was my decision to do this. So there's nothing taken because of results or something. This was pre-decided. Maybe I would say in my mind a few months back. So this is all done in good relationship with the federation, and we depart on a good note. This project is I think improving, and is always a delicate project, the Reggae Boyz, and we need to protect that going forward. So on good notes, and I wish Jamaica all the best in the future, and I will be the first guy up in the stand when Jamaica qualifies for the World Cup. I will wear my Jamaica shirt and be the first guy the players will see in US when the World Cup starts in 2026.
I'm sure over the last 2 years or so, there have certainly been individuals here that helped you get settled on the ground, and the staff, players. I'm sure it's been a great experience.
Yeah, I've acknowledged that I had a good meeting with the players, explaining yesterday my decision and the reason for it. And at the same time, I just wanted people to realize how many have improved in their jobs. So we have had world-class fitness coaches, Sebastian Botzleitner, Pepe Lazaro, to help Lamar grow as a fitness coach. We've had a world-class analyst in Jose Costa, a Portuguese analyst, to help Kyle do his job better. We've had Darren Glenister from West Ham as a physio to help our medical team to grow. Eddie Gardner, Freddie Butler have been with us, sharing their experience as players, as coaches at high level, and more have helped us as a staff to grow. And I think this improvement stays at the federation, stays in the project, and the project is growing. And that's internal growth from the press officer, Simon, from the medical team, from the team manager, etc. This is just something that I think has been silent. The improvement has been silent. So I just wanted to express how much people have improved as professionals around this team, and that is the way forward.
All right, folks, you can now ask questions you have to Coach Hallgrimsson.
Coach, so You talked a little bit about the relationship between you and the JFF. Do you want to go into a little bit more detail from your end as to how it got to this point? Because it's a project, like you said, and the major objective of the project was to qualify for the World Cup, and we're just at sort of the start of that process. So you want to talk a little bit, expand a little bit further on that?
Let's first talk about the timing, because I thought looking forward, because I've already decided in my head I would step down as a coach. I thought this was the perfect moment, because it gives the next one a Nations League cycle prior to the World Cup cycle. A lot of games now, September, October, November, to prepare the team for the important games that will come the year later. So I think that is a good timing to do this. To delay it would mean that the next coach will have shorter time to prepare and change things he wants to change. So that's the first thing. Secondly, I've not felt good in the environment. There's a lot of reasons why. No disrespect to people or angry with the people in charge. Absolutely not. Of course, we have disagreements how we do things, and that's just normal. That not everybody is on the same page how to do things. So, but I haven't felt good in this environment. So when that happens and you can change the environment, you only have two choices. Either you stay for money or for the glory of taking this team to the World Cup, or you leave the environment. If you cannot change it, you only have two choices. And I've decided this was my time to leave the environment.
Any other items? Any questions from here? Coach Hallgrimsson, obviously you are leaving now, but do you think there will be any plausible reasons for a way back in the future for you and your staff?
Yeah, I am taking this decision on my own. I'm not taking staff with me away from Jamaica. Everybody around me was hired by JFF. I think Gooner, the goalkeeper coach, was the only one that I persuaded to come. Otherwise, Maron Gordon, John Wall was, for example, hired before me. So that was not my decision. It would be the assistant coaches. Lamar was there before Simon was hired, yes, after I came. But all the staff was hired, and not in relation to me. So and that is me going on. I'm sorry, I lost the track. You were asking, is there a way back? Sorry, yes. Is there a way back?
By any chance, there will be a change of hearts later, though.
You should never in life, you should never close doors in your life. And I really love the players. I've grown fond of a lot of people in Jamaica. I have a lot of respect for this project. So you should never say never, but at this moment, I don't think so.
Do you think either Coach Maron or Coach Wall can take up the reins?
Well, that's a good thing with growth and development, that you can use what has been done for the last 2 years. Growth is not restarting everything from scratch. The growth is building on what has been done, and I think we can all agree on that. I will leave my shirt in a better place. There's a lot of data work, data analysis, files of checklists, and all kinds of stuff that now was not present when I started. And I leave this with the JFF, all this work. Now when a new coach comes in, he doesn't need to look at every player everywhere. It's all on file. What players are available, what young players are coming, what players are playing in the league in Jamaica, plus all the players that are possible, have the possibility of playing for Jamaica in the future with passport. So all this data is available, and it's already been given by me to the JFF. And so the continuity can keep on growing. I would though say, to have coaches that two assistant coaches that have been working in this project, for me it would be obvious that the JFF would start to look there to see what they can get from those guys. And even Meron, before we came, was already assistant coach for the national team. So I would think that is an obvious first choice, at least first thought for the JFF. But I'm not taking decisions for them. But it's really important to keep on growing and building on what we have been doing, is to use the staff that we have had, that have the knowledge and have been working in this environment for now 2 years.
Coach, any preliminary thoughts on what's next for you?
Well, for sure, I'm going to take a week without football, with my family, enjoying. And my thoughts are on this moment, maybe sometime in the future, finding an environment, a growth environment where I can learn, where I can improve, etc. But, you know, I've always lived with the philosophy that if you push and you do well, they will always lead to something else or better. Well, if not, I am a dentist and I have a clinic in Iceland, so I can go back to dentistry, and that's not a bad job.
Coach, I'm sure you wanted to see the team succeed and to always put your best foot forward. And part of succeeding is to always have the best players available to you. There is an article circulating online today, and part of that article states that you continuously pushed to include Leon Bailey in the squad for the Copa America, regardless of his stance and so on and so forth. Are you able to clarify this?
That is not the reason for me departing. Some argument about the player. And that is not a reason for me to leave in a financial one, by far. So it's not about argument about players or argument about salaries or payments. So we can wipe that one out. That is just a false news.
A message for fans and Jamaicans across the globe?
No, keep on supporting these players. It was a little bit disappointing how few Jamaicans supported the guys, and at the same time, really a compliment to the people of Venezuela, how they supported their team tonight. It was amazing. It was a great experience to see the passion and the support they got. I know Jamaicans don't have as many people, but this group of players will go to the World Cup, and they will need support both financially and on the pitch. And Jamaicans need to stick together to see this happen, because not all Jamaicans would like this team to go to the World Cup.
So, Coach, you're going to leave a legacy, of course. So, my thing is 3 players, young players. And he said, Gerard, Anderson, and actually, it's. So, you believe in them, put them in the team, in the games. What do you have to say to them in terms of the future that you saw in them, why you chose to live in them?
No, I think everybody that saw these players, you're forgetting Dijon Richards as well. So if a player is good enough when he is 17, 18, you know, we should play him. He's the future. And you know, I've also played players 35, 36.
Yeah.
You know, if you're good enough, you should play the national team. That's my philosophy.
Right.
Young or old, but these players for sure, if they play their cards correct. You never know with young players.
Right.
You never know. They might take a wrong decision and then they kind of get lost, and it has happened to a lot of players. And I hope a player like Kahim will take the correct steps in his career, not thinking financial. Now it's football growth for him, and he's a smart kid. So I know he will take correct positions. Dexter Lampequiza, I think he's not a young player anymore, even though he hasn't many years on his passport. But he's just ready. He's a good player today. The same with our goalkeepers is amazing how good goalkeepers Jamaica has. And we even had Jaden Hibbert, who went with us to Trinidad. Amazing young kid that apparently, very strangely, went to the same school as Blake and Jamali, so it's kind of the same project, same platform for them. So that is a position where Jamaica is really rich in. But to have young players is just something that we should protect.
And technically, do you see improvements in those three that I mentioned from the time we brought them in the team to where they are today?
Yeah, well, they all had kind of different approach in the team. So Kahim got like games, I think in Trinidad first, with kind of a domestic squad. We needed and just put Dexter Lambiquiza in the game in Azteca against Mexico, and he needed to play against one of the best wingers in the world, and he just showed from day one that he was ready. So it's just different ways these guys came in the team. Karoy, we've been watching. Jamaica is a little bit lacking central midfielders playing at the high level, and he was at a young age playing at the high level, so we just wanted to see how he did, and from day one he has been growing in the team. And the best thing about these kids is that they're good team players, they're good persons, and it's good to work with them and have them in the squad. They're respectful to the elders, they listen, and that's not only good players, they're good persons.
Right.
Any further questions?
Coach, during the match today, it has been a continuous actions that I've been noticing or observing throughout all three matches. Whereas we are supposed to have veterans in the team, however, there doesn't seem to be much leadership on the pitch. Whereas there are times when players are not taking accountability for misplaced passes. I am blaming you, you're blaming me. Do you think this has been part of the issue as to why the team didn't excel or even get a result from one of the three matches?
I would like just to answer this question with a no. I don't think that has been the case. I think there has been accountability and responsibility in all the matches. I know this game was a little bit different because we had nothing to play for other than the pride. And of course, when you play a national team game, you should always want to do your best to represent your country. But I just felt when we conceded, especially the second goal, it was difficult to go and reach some energy where they were not lacking that one in the first two games. So I wouldn't agree with what you're saying in not taking responsibility or not taking a leadership role, because a lot of these players are taking a leadership role on trainings, on meetings, and on the pitch. I think a lot of players are leading by example, and I don't think you can point at any player and said he was not trying to do his best this tournament. There will always be passes that will be misplaced, but not putting in an effort. I don't think you can point at a player and say he was not trying to do his best.
Thank you, Coach.
Can I get one more, please?
Yeah.
Very tough job being the head coach of the Reggae Boyz. What's one recommendation, I'll use recommendation, that you will have to your successor?
Well, like I said, my book is open for him. I love this project, and I know this project will be successful. It might take a little time. There's a lot of players that want to join this project and help Jamaica qualify. So the future is exciting, and there will be a lot of coaches that will fight for this job. Because this is an exciting job for a coach. A lot of work has been done. My book is open. So if the next coach wants to have information or my advice, I'm a phone call away. And I will support this project. I will, if the JFF wants me to help in any way, I'm a phone call away.
Thank you, folks.
All right, people. So that was the final. I don't even know if I can call it a press conference. It seemed like there were maybe 2 or 3 journalists in a room with the press officer, Simon Preston, and the coach. And they just basically had a discussion, basically about his time, positives to take away, his recommendations, what he has left for the program moving forward. I was just jotting down some quotes, and I'm going to kind of go through some things that stood out to me. So I've heard a few different things as far as when the coach told the players. I've gotten something saying that the coach told the players the day before the last game. I've heard others say that the coach told the players right after the game. But something that he said, which I'm not sure if everybody caught, but he said he knew for some months of his decision. Now, he didn't say that he told anyone about it. Maybe his personal family knew, maybe his inner circle knew, but he knew for some months that he would be wanting to take this decision. I thought that was kind of telling that he knew for some months. And I'm wondering, prior to this window, we would have seen him at the Nations League finals. Would it have been after or before that Nations League finals when he would have known, right? That was something that stood out to me big time. He knew for some months, people, that he didn't want to be in this job anymore. And, he had been saying some things and dropping a few hints here and there that kind of led me to believe that, maybe he had one foot out the door already. And I'll go through some of those things as we continue. But knowing for some months was something that stood out to me immediately. As soon as I heard that, I'm saying, damn, so he knew for some months? So my question would be, how many people knew? Who knew? I even heard as well, that he would have had a conversation with the president of the JFF prior to going to the Copa America. Whether in that meeting he would have said there's a chance that I might resign soon, I don't know. But clearly the JFF hierarchy and brass would have known that some things were kind of going wrong. What confirmed this for me as well, and again, shout out to Cranky Live, Rudolph Speid did say that this didn't take him by surprise. He kind of knew some things and could kind of guess that this could be coming up sometime soon. So he wasn't really taken aback by this decision that was taken. So that was a bit telling as well. I did hear him mention as well that the staff that we have in place currently is much improved from when he first came. He mentioned that Lamar, the trainer, would have been involved in the program already. They brought in a more professional trainer so Lamar could get some more, training, so to speak, to get him going better in his job. He mentioned as well the analyst Kyle. They had a European analyst come in, someone with a little bit more experience to kind of bring Kyle along so that, now that he may be leaving, since the coach is leaving, Kyle would be in a better position to then move forward. He mentioned that Simon had been brought on after he had been the coach. And we have seen that the relationship, so to speak, of fans to the press or the press office of the JFF has improved. We have seen more write-ups, more releases. I think they're a lot more inclusive as far as reaching out with content to the content creators in the spaces. Whether that's the right move or not is debatable. But, we'd have seen an effort at least to have a bit more transparency between what's going on behind the scenes and what we get to know, right? So in a way, I can see what he's talking about there. When he mentioned that, it would be obvious to start with the assistants that he currently has when we're talking about coaches for the future. I thought that was a bit eye-opening as well. He did kind of temper that statement by saying, you know, obviously it's the JFF's final decision, but if they wanted his advice to them would be that those guys need to be at least on whatever short list you guys come up with. You should be at least looking to them for some of your answers, right? So I thought that was telling. You know, said he really loved the players, loved his time with the players. That was good to hear. You know, when you kind of think about some of the reasons why maybe he would be leaving, and we're going to look at the Observer's article that kind of prefaced this resignation, because I think there was a lot of stuff in there that we need to talk about. You know, the fact that he said on record that he really loved the players, I thought was important. And again, I think this coach has handled himself, I guess, as professional as you could in this type of situation when you have resigned from a job. I don't think it's a situation where, you know, I didn't see any burning of bridges. I didn't see him wanting to throw anyone under the bus. As a matter of fact, he was very complimentary of everybody, which I thought was very professional of him. You know, if you put that up against some other coaches that have been either let go or have resigned, and how they were in their final, you know, interviews or even interviews after they have left the post, you can kind of see the difference in the professionalism levels. You know, I won't call any names, but you guys can probably know, you know, some of the things that I'm referring to. Another thing I thought was telling was it was his own decision and it wasn't an entire staff decision. So, you know, that if he knew for months and it was his own decision, not a staff decision, that means he would have been working with staff for some months now, knowing that he's going to leave. You know, I wonder how his staff felt about that in that moment when he was telling them he's going to resign. Then hearing this, that he was, you know, he had known for some time that he was going to resign. So, you know, that's something that, you know, it'd be nice to hear from John Wall, Meron Garden, those who have been left behind, to see, you know, were there any signs that you could tell of that would lead you to believe he might be leaving or anything of that nature? You know, how much of a surprise was it to you guys? Because we're hearing from the head of the technical committee that it wasn't so much of a surprise. We're hearing that the coach had spoken to President Ricketts prior to the Copa to let him know that, you know, this is something that is a possibility. So, you know, there were some that had an idea. Some say it wasn't a surprise. Others were shocked. So yeah. And then another thing that I thought was interesting to point out on Hallgrimsson's side of things was he was disappointed with the fan support. He mentioned the Copa, but I think this refers to pretty much all around. This would be local games. This would be games we played in the Gold Cup. You know, all because he's seeing nations we're playing and he's seeing them have 10, 15, 20,000 fans in the stands, knowing that Jamaica has a smaller population, but at the same time, he's thinking, I mean, surely we can get more than the hundreds that we're getting into the stands. So disappointed with the fan support all around. I thought it was telling as well that he said that lots of coaches would fight for this job, right? It's a job that, you know, with what we have to do to qualify out of CONCACAF this time around, with some teams being out of qualification, I'm sure some coaches will be looking at it as a good opportunity to get to a World Cup. You know, whether coaches will be fighting for the job, that's up for debate. You know, and I think it wouldn't be for footballing reasons if they weren't fighting for it, but for all the reasons which I think led to him leaving, because even Mr. Speid himself on Cranky's show said, you know, he has yet to be given a football reason why he stepped down. So that means there must be footballing reasons, right? So to kind of shed a little more light on those non-football reasonings, or to try to figure out what those could have been, I want to look at an article that came out just prior to his formal resignation. It was in the Jamaica Observer, called A Long Goodbye. I think a lot of folks had, you know, reported on it when it came out and everything. But I want to just look at it from my perspective. But you know how I am, people. I want you guys to follow along with me. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on the screen, and I'm going to read the article in full, and then we're going to discuss afterwards. All right. In the meantime, people, make sure you're smashing that like button. Do not forget that part. It is very, very important. Let me bless up people that came in while I was doing that part of the show. Joseph Brown, big up yourself. Basically saying Karoy not good enough. Yeah, he said he mentioned Karoy's name. Didn't have as much to say about him as he had about a few others he spoke about, which you can read into that what you will. But yeah, he didn't say that he wasn't good enough. I wouldn't go so far. IT push, big up yourself. Want to know who will be the new coach? Well, that's what we're going to discuss. IT push. That's something that will come up in the topic of discussion today. So maybe if you stick around, you'll get to get some insights into that. Have to take off my hat to Hallgrimsson, very classy man. And yeah, I agree with this, Mr. United. I think he kept it extremely professional all the way to the end, at least to the public. Now behind the scenes, I'm not there, so I can't speak to that. But when the cameras are on, he definitely puts a good face forward. Up Jason Gooner, what's on the grill? LOL. Well, some ribs, Vinny Congo. That is the plan. Some ribs on the grill, Yeah, man, season up everything already, and by the time that show you're done, we're gonna deal with some of them food thing there. Yes, absolutely, Vinny Congo. Happy 4th to all those in America that celebrate that. Yes, we are going to have some way that called barbecue food today. Bless up yourself, Sean. Bless up yourself. Surinamese Jamaican in the building. Big Cavalier fan. Big up, Sean. Big up. Yeah, man. Let them know to like up the live. Respect, mate. Yeah, man, Lamar. Up. What go on, bruv? Big up, know yourself. Swamptivity, my brother. Big up, Goon. I think Jamaica should go for a South American coach or a European coach, someone with pressing style of football. Yes, Swamptivity. We're going to go through the pros and cons and, but my main thing is realistic, because the man said we want to get the best coach money can buy. But the thing is, who for money we are talking about? Because if we have unlimited money, then yes, we can get any coach. But I don't believe that we have a bottomless pit of money, I'm waiting to hear an Icelandic interview when he opens up about his time in Jamaica. I feel that must come. Hamilton Brown, you are so right. It might be in his native tongue, but if we can translate it, we might hear a bit more about the situation. Yeah, we might. But that might come very much later, Hamilton Brown, because I do think that this coach, just based on his personality and stuff, I think he would shy away from any kind of thing like that, any kind of expose that might have to wait for the book when I'm writing in book later, Business 101. First, you look at your in-house staff to see if anybody fits the criteria. Yeah, that is a way that a lot of business works. They would rather somebody that already knows the system, the ins and outs, not somebody that has to come and learn all your processes and your functions from scratch, right? So, and that was what the coach basically was mentioning. You don't want to start at square one again. But we might need a new fearless leader though, TikTok. So you never know. We'll talk about that, all of that though. Non-football. Yes, non-football, off the field stuff, Chris Romans, Found the comment on the job attractiveness interesting. Jamaica is as sexy a job as it is a piece of work. You have to be psychologically up for and ready to fight. Whereas Hamilton is like a high maintenance woman. Or for the females, a high maintenance man. One love, bless up, Yeah, man. Love your name, one love. Righteousness. Love the name here too. Is John Wall staying? Yeah, righteousness. John Wall is staying. As the coach mentioned in the press conference there. John Wall was here prior to him being here, and his role has nothing to do with him being the head coach. So yeah, he did also, I didn't write this down, but he did mention as well in his talk that he never had the ability to appoint his assistant staff. The only person that he brought would have been the goalkeeper coach, who he said he convinced him to come with him. So, yeah, I thought the fact that he mentioned that, maybe is that something non-football related that could have been a hindrance to him. I have heard people saying, boy, how much help is he really getting from his assistants? Are either of them qualified enough to be challenging him if he wants to make a decision? I don't know. But righteousness, to answer your question, yes, John Wall is staying. In what capacity? JFF has yet to say. Blessings, Drew Fortis. Bless up yourself, Drew. Yeah, man. I know you're there in the States, so 4th of July to you, my boss. T got also in the States, I believe. Bless up yourself, my brother. T got on the ball. Looks like that's a rebrand, people. So maybe T got is forwarding with his own platforms. I'm not sure. I don't want to talk too soon, but definitely sports down the middle. T got. That is T got on the ball, people. Bless up yourself, T got. Peter Mystic. Big up, big up, big up. I am wondering if he meant he was considering months ago, given the language barrier. Also, Mr. Speid and MM debunked a lot of what is in the article. Yes, Peter Mystic, that is true. I heard him rubbish a few of the claims. One that he didn't, though. And I thought it was quite telling that, you know, he rubbished a lot of the things. He was clear, though. He did say some of the things in the article are rubbish, which made me think to myself, I wonder what wasn't rubbish. And I know one that Mr. Speid doesn't think is rubbish, because Cranky asked him about this, was it true that a bonus was asked for when we qualified for Copa America? And after a smirk, all Mr. Speid said was, I declined to comment on that one. And he said it twice as Cranky tried to ask him again. So, you know, he mentioned some of Peter Mystic. So my goal today is to try to figure out what were the things that did have some truth to them, right? Because some of that was true, and we're gonna work through that today. Roast breadfruit and jerk chicken, mad, yeah, man. So that's a Jamaican 4th of July right there. Roast breadfruit and jerk chicken on the grill. We love that. We love that. MF, bless up, bless up, bless up. I know you have some takes on this, so feel free to fire away in the comment section, my brother. JFF money, Jason Gooner TV. Mr. United want to follow the trail, paper trail. TikTok said the environment I think he's talking about is the lack of support for the team and football, and the amount of pseudo-Jamaican football coaching experts who second-guessed him and were disrespectful. Now, TikTok, this makes sense coming from you, because most of the time when I see you on these programs, you're fighting with the host of the show about something. And I don't know, and I refuse to believe, TikTok, that the YouTube coaches, as you put it, or YouTubers in general, would have any bearing on a coach's decision whether to stay or leave this program. You're giving way too much credit to the YouTubers, my boss. Yes, we have platforms where thousands of people might view, some even tens of thousands, you know what I'm saying? But it's not enough of a bearing on a coach. Especially, he's not thinking about us at all. I find that very hard to believe, TikTok. Very hard to believe. Now, the part about the lack of support for the team, I believe that was disheartening to him. In every press conference I can remember, he mentioned, you know, his hope that the diaspora would come out and support. So I know that was something that was weighing on him. He was tired of every game being the away team. I heard the frustration as well from Antonio in the last game. I believe it was the Ecuador game. After the game, he had an interview and he mentioned how it felt like an away game as well. So it's something that I think is going around the team as well. They really want the team to be supported better, just in the stands, you know. MF is dying with laugh at the comment. Bless up all the hurricane survivors. Greetings, Jason, listening in the background. Big up yourself, Leroy Smart. I know you're typically in the background, but I know if you're moved enough, you will add to the discussion. You always do. So big up yourself, Leroy Smart. Can you please leave your number with the host? I want to reach out to you. All right, Leroy Smart and Mr. United. Link up, link up, link up. Chris Roban says sad situation. Yeah, I wouldn't say, I think it has the potential to become a sad one, but it can work out okay if we are astute in our choice. Derek G. So does John not qualify for the head coach job? Well, Derek G, as far as I'm concerned, it would be tough for John to get this job based on his experience level. You know, when you do a search of his accomplishments or his bio or his CV, I would struggle to say that he would be ready to take a position like this currently. You know, he pretty much, he did have a job in 2020 as a manager. Another one in 2015 for 2 years as a manager. 2014 he was a manager but never coached a game. Just had the post for about a year. And you know, he was a video analyst for the Finland national team for a year as well. So, you know, he has never coached at the international level. He has only been part of staff at the international level for Finland, and of course the assistant for Jamaica since 2022. So, you know, it would be a big leap for him, you know, and even his managerial experience, if we're looking at it, you know, his last club where he was manager, at Nyköpings, right? And this is a, you know, this is a lower league in Sweden that they play football in. You know, stadium is 1,000-seat stadium, so it's not, you know, we're not talking about any big club here in Sweden even. So his experience level is just a bit low for me, especially when you factor in the opponents that will be playing. If you look at all of their CVs, they have been managing at the international level for some years now. And if they haven't been at the international level, they've been at a high club level for years. So I just think maybe it's a bit soon for him, Derek G, to be honest. I think his role as an assistant might be the way to go moving forward for him. After hearing that interview, I have nothing but respect for Hallgrimsson. Yeah, it's hard not to respect him. He says all the right things for the most part. To his election day. Today is election day in the UK. Oh, mad. So you vote? I mean, I know nothing about UK elections, you know. All right, Leroy Smart. Yeah, man, Leroy. I will, when I drop the WhatsApp call-in number, Leroy, you can just message me and I will get the information to United for you here. Owen, bless up, you know. I know the chatter will get nice, you know, because this brother a big joker, you know. TikTok say Hallgrimsson might have quit because of something simple, as the sun was too hot. We can speculate all we can and never know his real reason. I know his son didn't like the way the vlogger were bashing. Yeah, I mean, look, TikTok, I get it, you know. I'm not saying that the YouTubers would be faultless, because I do believe that some have a style that, you know, could be off-putting to people. But at the end of the day, if the job was truly for you and you love it, I don't believe that, you know, some YouTubers with, you know, yes, they have a reach and yes, they have a fan base, but they don't speak for everybody, you know what I mean? And at the end of the day, any top coach knows that bashing is a thing that comes with the territory. Now, I agree that a son and a wife and a daughter and a cousin and an uncle might not, you know, deal with it the same way as their father, the coach, would. But the coach himself ain't gonna leave just for that. Ain't no way. Love the way you hold a conversation, bro. Very open-minded. Yeah, Swamptivity. Look, I don't have all the answers. But at the end of the day, I know that I do my research and I know some things as well. So to me, the conversation needs to be had, and this is the best way to have it. You know, you're not above the conversation. I find it interesting that none of the players have commented on resignation and their opinions of it. Yeah, MF, that was something I was going to get into, you know, but you brought it up now. That was something I was going to get into, but you brought it up now. Like, typically, if a manager leaves, right, yes, you may not see the entire squad come out and say something, but I think it's a bit telling, right? And I could be wrong. Up to me shooting this video, I am yet to see any of the players on the team say anything about the coach. And I'm going to look in the comment section in real time now and see if anybody correct me. But I have yet to see it, people. So to me, that's kind of telling, you know, especially when you factor in like a lot of the players have recently posted about the Copa America, about, you know, yes, it didn't go the way we wanted. The general consensus is we live and we learn, we move with our heads up, you know, everybody being positive, but nobody has mentioned thanks for, you know, the times we shared together. You know, even like a player like Kaheem Dixon, who got his first chance from this coach, nothing. Richards the same, even though, you know, I doubt Richards would say anything currently based on what's going on with Phoenix and JFF. But yeah, just, you know, I have yet to see it. Maybe somebody can correct me. Okay, so MF said the only person I've seen say anything has been Bibi Gardner. And Bibi Gardner, of course, as you heard, well, not everybody would have heard, but on Cranky's show, Speid did mention that, you know, most things the coach asked for, he got. Like he asked for Freddie Butler and Bibi to be there as ambassadors. They did that. They signed off on that, no problem. So, yeah. Because they want to move on. I don't think the style of play suited them. Well, Owen, them wanting to move on and them just saying, yo, respect is two different things. I mean, them can still say respect and still want to move on, you know. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Chicken off a jerk. I hurt me, and a chicken me a jerk. They said could be post fire, but there is a fire. Even the ones he gave an opportunity when most beat him for the exactly. That's what I just bring up. Like the young players, you know, bringing back a Hector, for example. I heard the coach wearing a Donald Trump t-shirt was very we say that it did easy, you know, but easy. The Tubas want it both ways. They claim they are the reason for the improvements, but don't want to take responsibility for the fake news which lead to the bashing of the coach and the federation. Well, look, I mean, that's to just say outline, just flat out say fake news. You have to go. You can't bring that and don't have no kind of proof. You know, like what you're referring to exactly, TikTok. Honestly, because, all right, for example, does mainstream media want it both ways? TikTok, because I'm about to put an article on screen that, as someone rightly said, Speid and Chung have rubbished some of the things in the article, right? So do mainstream media want it both ways as well, or is this just a YouTube thing? Didn't your grandmother told you? the federation deserves to be lashed. Stop it. Yeah, look, if fair is fair, right? If there is incompetence and people want to speak about it, then it should be spoken about. Now, I agree that there's no need to fabricate things to bash them about, because they do enough things that you don't need to fabricate and you can bash them about it. So I agree that it shouldn't be fake news. But again, when you level that they're doing fake news, you need to tell us what is the fake news. You know, you can't just say that. All right, A.M. Henry. A.M. Henry, I want to say I respect your takes a lot. You're very opinionated, and I believe you're a female as well. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I just want to say I do see your comments a lot in these programs, and I like the fact that you always have a point of view. So big up yourself, A.M. Henry, and thanks for viewing. Disagree. Coach Grimm spoke in quite a few interviews about the opinionated Jamaicans and the 3 million Jamaican coaches. Jamaican social media self-certified coaches were disrespectful and coarse. Yeah, A.M. Henry, that is true. He did mention that Jamaicans are very passionate and opinionated, and everybody is a coach. He did say that. That is true. But I don't think that those things affected him to the point where he didn't want to be the coach anymore because we have 3 million coaches. He mentioned also that in Germany, it's the same way. He said the difference that he would like to see in Jamaica is when the coach in Germany, the actual coach, picks the team, everybody just stops talking about the players they want and support the team. That's all. So he had no problem with 3 million coaches. In fact, he was like, that's great. There's a lot of passion, you know. He wished that would translate to the fans going to the game. That's what was upsetting. But I don't think that was such a huge deal or a huge issue. If he almost said those things jokingly for the most part. Now, when you joke about things, sometimes there's some truth to it. But again, I don't think that would have been something he would be losing sleep over. The fact that people don't agree with every decision he's making. That's a part of being a coach. Big up yourself, Pastor. Big up Lansley. Big up Lansley. Yeah, man. Bless up. Leroy Smart checking in. The only time Jamaica will have supporters who outnumber the upper will be in the UK. There's more a culture of supporting football teams here, and Jamaica have a lot of non-diaspora UK support. Okay. So home games in the UK. Yeah, I think Leroy Smart. I think Florida, there's a chance, depending on the opposition. Tri-state area, there's a chance, depending on the opposition as well. I wouldn't say outnumbered in Atlanta, but not bad, because I think Atlanta is on the rise as far as Caribbean support, at least. Maybe we don't get all the Caribbeans to come, but I would say Florida and New York tri-state would be a best bet. Philly, New York, maybe DC, but maybe not quite. But yeah, a lot of the New Yorkers will probably go DC anyway, so maybe DC too, as well as I do, maybe even more than me. We say big up Jamaicans on the rock, stay strong and rebuild. Yeah, man. Prayers up to everybody, and anybody that can give a helping hand. Hopefully, people can, rally around their neighbors, and we all do a little piece, and we get some better results in the rebuild. Roast snapper on the grill, escovite snapper, sheephead nugget with homemade sweet and sour dip, potato salad, roast cornbread, and carrot juice. What? El Granero just make me want down the stream and go eat now. That sounds good, El Granero, believe me. Yeah, same thing, I think, Mr. United. Them two places there. Baby God, now. We say at the Emirates, sold out. Big up that. Bless up yourself. Yeah, man. Telling. Very, very telling. All right, so good conversation in the chat, people. Let me put this on screen now. We're just going to run through this article really quickly, right? I'm going to read it to you guys. I'm going to have you follow along. Let me make sure that this look half decent on the screen here. All right, you guys should be able to see that pretty good. Okay. All right, so this was the article, June 30th. So, of course, June 30th would have been the day of the game, but this actually came out like, I want to say, maybe. Hold on a second here. We don't need that to play. So yeah, this would have been before the game. This article would have come out, right? Which makes sense, because from my understanding, the coach would have told the players and staff after training on Saturday, which then, which at that time they would have been told that it's okay to tell the press about this, even though it wasn't known to the press at this time that he would. He just figured, look, it's okay, right? So that makes sense that this Andre Lowe from the Observer would have gotten some info probably that Saturday, wrote the article, and it posted, later that night, basically after, it must have been after midnight, because it has the June 30th on it, right? So this would have been out like Sunday morning. I believe it was in the Sunday paper, right? So, and it reads, the relationship between the JFF and Reggae Boyz head coach Heimir Hallgrimsson has deteriorated beyond repair, with both parties said to be frustrated with each other and moving towards an early separation. Hallgrimsson, who led his homeland Iceland to its first ever FIFA World Cup appearance in 2018, was courted by the JFF in 2022 with the goal of securing qualification for Jamaica to the 2026 tournament, which will be co-hosted by the United States, Canada, and Mexico. It has, however, been a less than convincing tenor by a 57-year-old, despite his fairly respectable record with the Reggae Boyz, 11 wins, 6 draws, and 9 losses in his 26 matches in charge. His record in competitive matches sits at 10 wins, 3 draws, and 5 losses. So, of course, we know he would have lost his last game against Venezuela. So his competitive record would have ended at 10 wins, 3 draws, and 6 losses in his 19 games. All right. So let's move on. With the Jamaicans set to face Venezuela in their final Copa America group match at 7 p.m. in Austin, Texas tonight, there's all likelihood that this could be the coach's final match in charge of the national senior team. When contacted, chairman of the JFF's technical committee, Rudolph Speid, would not be drawn into a direct comment on the matter, but he noted that the normal procedures, which involve a post-tournament audit of the technical performances, will be exercised in short order. As usual, following the completion of Jamaica's involvement in the tournament, the technical committee will meet to assess the performance and consider the recommendations, Speid told Jamaica Observer when quizzed on Saturday. So I'm going to pause right here for just a second, people. So anytime you hear the technical committee chairman start to talk about meeting to assess performance, basically that's code for the kiss of death, right? Basically, that means something isn't right. We're going to assess it and we're going to make a recommendation. And typically, that recommendation is to get rid of the coach, right? So, yeah, anytime you see him start talking about that, just know that the coach should start to worry a little bit. Cool? All right, so moving right along. However, according to multiple well-placed sources, the damage has already been done, and Hallgrimsson and the JFF are heading towards an inevitable divorce 2 years before the expiration of his contract. Now, one thing I want to point out before I read anymore, I found it quite eye-opening that as soon as the one direct quote that we get from anybody in the JFF about anything to do with this is from Rudolph Speid, the head of the technical committee. And then as soon as his quote is finished, the next thing that the man decided to write is according to multiple well-placed sources. So none of those sources were willing to speak on record. The only one that would put anything on record was Rudolph Speid. So that was interesting to me, people. Interesting. The JFF's top brass, disappointed with the team's results and Hallgrimsson's game management, has lost confidence in the tactician's ability to lead the team to World Cup qualification, with reports also surfacing that the coach's relationship with several key players has soured. Of note, the coach who moved to Jamaica in January 2023, 4 months after his appointment, has already emptied and vacated the house provided to him by the JFF and has returned to Iceland since January of this year, only traveling to Jamaica for team assignments. Now, where was that house? Where was that house? I believe it was in St. Anne somewhere, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure that house was in St. Anne. So if he would have left from January, maybe that is a part of the things that Mr. Speid would have not been so surprised by this resignation, right? Because why would he uproot his family when the plan was for him to live there throughout his tenure with the team? So maybe that was one of the things that would have alerted the head of the technical committee right there. All right, moving along. Hallgrimsson, who is believed to have initiated attempts to get controversial Aston Villa attacker Leon Bailey to end his break from the team and make himself available for Copa America, has reportedly lost some of his goodwill with the rest of the players after he indicated ahead of the Ecuador encounter that he was still looking to add Bailey to the squad for the tournament in spite of his public rejection of the initial invitation. According to our information, this did not sit well with the other players, and it eventually led to the JFF's decision to officially suspend the 26-year-old winger and take the matter out of the coach's hands. The sources claim that the coach also rubbed his players the wrong way when he sought a commission, which was not stipulated under the terms of his contract, from the $2 million payment given to each participating team after he qualified the Reggae Boyz to the ongoing Copa America tournament. Now, this is something that was kind of eye-opening to me as well. Not just that he asked for something, because I think in international football, it is not uncommon for a coach to ask for a bonus if he does provide monies to a federation that he's representing. In other words, you know, if we get X for getting to the World Cup, I would like to get this percent of X for being the coach that got you that X that you have, right? That's not something that is ridiculous in any way. Now, one thing that I think is a bit strange on Hallgrimsson's part is he was quite open and honest about the shortcomings in terms of finances of the JFF. He took every opportunity to either poke fun or just, state the obvious that, where money is concerned, we have issues. I remember one instance of this was at the Nations League press conference after winning the third place playoff and getting the third place medals for that competition. He said that the prize money could be used now and they would be able to fly home with no problem. And he was laughing when he said it, but when he made that comment, I was kind of like, damn, like, even if that's something you would jokingly say behind the scenes, that's not something that typically I would hear from this coach. So that was one of the reasons why, me personally, I was thinking he was getting a bit more, and I hate to use the word cavalier, but he was getting more cavalier with some of the ways he was speaking. I thought that was one time when I felt that way. Another time was when he was speaking to Oral Tracy, and he did actually say on the record that he agreed with some of Bailey's points. I thought that even if he did agree with some of Bailey's points, he would have had to have thought, well, my employer and him are in this back and forth. Maybe I just stay out of this and say, I'm going to let the administration deal with it. He seemed to want to take the lead with that and get the player back on board. And I think that rubbed the federation the wrong way, right? All right, so let's move on. However, the angst is two-sided, and Hallgrimsson, who is said to be irritated by several administrative issues, has fallen out of love with the JFF. So if you're following along, people, the one thing that Mr. Speid did not rubbish was that he asked for some kind of bonus. He didn't say he did, but he said he declined to comment. So that means whatever you think it means, right? The coach was close to calling it quits after the first leg of Jamaica's Nations League quarterfinal loss against Canada at the National Stadium in November 2023. Hallgrimsson is also said to be dissatisfied with the Federation's level of support towards securing passports for a number of UK-based players who are looking to represent the nation, such as Arsenal winger Reiss Nelson. Now, this part here, people, is a big, big talking point in the YouTube space, right? We have plenty of YouTubers that constantly are upset with the JFF for what they perceive to be a lack of interest in, securing players who have expressed an interest to play for Jamaica and getting their documents across the line. Now, I am not involved enough with the actual processes of players, but I can tell you that based on the limited knowledge I have, it is something that we can improve on, for sure. Something that I think we can put more things in place to kind of guide and help this process along in a faster manner. I don't know if we exhaust all the possibilities when doing this, right? I don't get that sense, at least. This is not something that I don't know if this would have been, well, the only comment I remember him making on this front, and when I say him, I mean Speid, when he was talking to Cranky on his show, was him saying that the Minister of Sport and the JFF have a very good relationship when it comes on to these things. That was all I got from it. He didn't really expound on that anymore. But I can tell you that there have been a number of players that from a number of accounts, different people, whether it's they themselves, their agent, friends of them, there'll be a lot of players who would have been, by all accounts, actively seeking to get citizenship and passports and be able to represent the country. And it just seems like those situations kind of never pan out as fast as we think, right? And again, with me not being in the situations myself, I can't really speak too much more so than, gathering the information of those who know these players. And it always seems like the ones closest to the players are telling us, yeah, man, it will almost happen. And we're always met with, let's have patience on the other side when it comes from the JFF side of things. So, one side very optimistic, one side very pessimistic. To me, optimism is you wanting something to happen, right? It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to, but the way you speak about things, you might, not saying you can speak it into existence, but if you don't sound so enthusiastic about these things, I'm not going to think you're really doing everything you can to get it over the line. And that's how it comes across to me whenever they talk about these situations. It's like when it happens type of thing. And I feel like it shouldn't be that type of mindset. We should definitely be, pushing for these things to happen more. According to our information, both parties are also not seeing eye to eye on the direction of the youth program, with Hallgrimsson and his team pushing for the inclusion of more non-domestic players in the age group squads, while some elements in the JFF hierarchy have demanded that more local-based players be involved. The coach is also disappointed that his expenses are not being covered by the JFF whenever he travels to Europe to recruit players for the national team. A JFF insider did, however, contend that reimbursements cannot be issued without prior approval to travel. Now, Speid did speak directly to this, and he said that, he doesn't understand why Joe Public wants the JFF to be more professional, and now that they are trying to do so by making sure that any reimbursements that are to be paid are basically put in writing beforehand. You can't come and tell me you did this and did that and we must pay you back if we didn't know prior to you doing it, right? Cranky pushed back on this and said, but the coach must have some latitude. If he need to go somewhere, he have to call you and you have to hold him hand to do it. And him say, well, if we're going to have checks and balances, he will have to call us because we need to know, and we need to know beforehand. So I think that's fine. I mean, if the coach is going to do something, yes. If you have an employer and you unless you have something pre-worked out where you have the latitude to just do something and then you bring them an expense report. If that's not the case, then telling them what you want to do beforehand shouldn't really be that much to ask, right? So that's okay. Having scored their first Copa America goal in their 3-1 loss to Ecuador on Wednesday, the Reggae Boyz will be looking to secure their first win. This, it is expected, would still not be enough to warm the frosty relations between the JFF and the Icelandic coach. Well, that last part, people, we will never know if a win would have been enough because they ended up losing. And the coach resigned. So that is that article, people. Again, a lot of this has been rubbished by some of the people in the JFF. Some of it not rubbished. I found it quite telling that the stuff that was rubbished pretty much all put the JFF in somewhat of a negative light. And the one thing that would have put the coach in a negative light to some would have been the coach asking for the funds. And that's the one thing he said that he declined to comment on. So, he was ready to rubbish all the things that wouldn't make JFF look good. And the one thing that, maybe would have put some points off of the coach, he was quick to smirk and say, boy, I declined to comment on that part, So that is what it is, people. But for me, that article had a lot in it that is worth a discussion. Again, I don't have any proof of them, not helping at all with the securing of passports for players. I'm not going to go so far to say they don't help, but I will say that I think way more could be done on that front. I think way more could be done on that front. Better access to information, better access to the right channels to go to. We have outside sources helping individual players outside of the realm of the JFF, which is great, and those people are good Samaritans, but why can't it be a partnership? Why can't these people that have the knowledge and have the contacts to push these things over the line faster, why aren't they integrated in some way so that it's an effort by everybody involved, right? Because to me, it just seems like they're left to their own devices, and some players might seek help from the people that can truly help. Others might say, I can do this my damn self. I'm a man, I can fill out forms. But that might slow down the process as well, because they might not have, some of the information they need to get these things over the line faster. So, I think we need to do a better job of collaborating with the people that, are the experts in those fields to get these things over the line. Another thing that was crucial in this article that I think Speid touched on, because he mentioned that there's no quota at the senior level, so he doesn't understand what this thing is about, not helping Reese Nelson and these players. Now, another thing that they're saying is Hallgrimsson was pushing for the inclusion of more non-domestic players in the age group squads, and basically the reason for that would be obviously be more competitive at those levels, and also better integration into the national team of some of these, non-domestic players at the U20 level, so to speak, right? Mr. Chung has spoken, not Mr. Chung, Mr. Speid has spoken before about, he has to, at the end of the day, satisfy a lot of people involved in the JFF, all the stakeholders, and a lot of them, don't see the benefit of including non-domestic players in the age group level squads, because what is that doing for the development of our local players? So it's a tough sell to try to say to folks that have these beliefs, yes, we need to recruit and bring in players from all over the diaspora to represent us at the youth level, if we want to be more competitive. They would rather see how we could compete with our local players against the teams that we would face in CONCACAF qualifying, let's say. For me, I'm always a proponent of best player, pick the best player, right? Just pick the best player. Now, we can argue that maybe, because for me, a bigger issue more than local overseas for me is I don't know if we have the best talent evaluators as the decision makers when it comes to picking these teams. That's my contention, right? Because too often, even let's say they want to have a certain amount of local players, right? We can't even come to a consensus over that. If you put 10 scouts or coaches in a room and you say, okay, we need to pick 15 players that are playing locally right now to go in a U20 camp, I doubt that maybe about 4 to 5 of the players might make every list, but maybe not even that many. There might be 1 or 2, and then everybody else is picking 13 others out of the rest of them. So, are we really getting the best minds and the brightest minds to pick these youth level teams, especially, the ones that end up making and representing the nation? So many times I'm hearing, what about this player? What about that player? And that's going to happen regardless. But at the end of the day, like, are we really, what kind of checklist are we going through to make sure these players are fit? Or even the players, the evaluators of the players, like how do these people get these positions? That to me is a big issue as well. Yeah, the lack of support from his former players on social media would kind of lend to this notion that he was losing the locker room. And I mentioned this from the minute that the article came out, not the article, but the podcast with Leon Bailey came out, the Jeffrey podcast. And I said, for me, like, not only is this going to do damage to Leon Bailey with the fan base, I thought, some of his comments about, he's looking around the team and wondering who is this guy making the team, and, the fans all come to see him. I was thinking to myself, but how does Mikel Antonio hear this interview and play with Bailey after this? Bobby Reed, Damian Lowe, anybody, even if you say they're coming to see you because I guess he's saying that because he plays in the Premier League and maybe he's the highest market value on the team. He's the biggest player, but at the end of the day, all of these players are stars in their own right, you know what I mean? And you can't tell somebody from Rockford that Nana and a fit them baller. You can't tell a brother that religiously watch Premier League that Antonio and a team favorite baller can probably see Antonio in the Premier League longer. You know what I'm saying? So we have other players that people would want to see as well. So I thought that at that moment, I figured there was a lot of damage control would have to be done with the teammates themselves. And I thought that the minute that the coach pandered to Bailey, there would be that subset of players there, that subsection of players there that would have an issue with that because of some of the things he said in the interview. Grimmy just seemed out of touch, didn't seem to have to connect with the culture and by extension the team. Look, this whole culture thing, I mean, how close would Rennie Simoa's culture have been to Jamaicans' culture? Not very close. I don't buy into this whole culture thing. Like, because I heard Speid say that as well, that it would be a plus if them kind of have a feel for the culture. I don't know if that matters so much, guys. I really don't. I mean, how culture plays out on a national team is the players play with a certain energy, or in some senses a style for certain cultures, right? But I don't think that the coach necessarily has to embody that same culture or even understand it. At the end of the day, it's football, right? So, I do agree that the coach needs to realize what raw materials he has to work with and create a system accordingly. But I don't necessarily think that him being so in tune with the culture has to define his system of play. I believe the players do it, just not necessarily in the public domain. These players are very professional, with the exception of one. We have to give them credit. Yeah, maybe their thoughts are, their thoughts towards him have been given in private and not public. That's a possibility as well. Maybe they don't want the coach coming in to think that they have allegiance to the old. I don't know. Could be a lot of reasons, but I didn't look at it that way, Peter Mystic. Maybe they're just playing it even, and they don't want to create a narrative more than what needs to be created. But as an example, when Jamaica played QPR in the run-up to the World Cup at Loftus Road in 1998, I bought 28 tickets. Only 8 were for Jamaicans. Wow. So 20 more people wanted to just go and support just off of the fact and strength that they know Jamaicans or they've been around Jamaicans and stuff. Well, that's cool. At least he took the time to learn the anthem and actually sing it. Can I say the same for a lot of the players? Good observation. He definitely was a loud singer of the anthem. That is true. That is true. Players thank Tapper openly. Wow, okay. So Owen saying there's a difference there in how he was dealt with. The next coach needs to be diaspora Jamaican, who is credentialed enough and can deal with the culture, as any international coach will find it hard to coach when they can't pick the best players only. Well, Joseph Brown, that's the thing, and that's why I believe that the coach should not or doesn't have to be a diaspora Jamaican, because he might be more inclined to accept some of these unwritten rules that seem to exist. Right? If anything falls through with a player that you want, we can't go for another player that we have to send a ticket to. Just let's pick one out of who is close to us right here. Because that's what ends up happening a lot, Joseph Brown. You don't get it, Gooner. Europeans don't have the same standards as Jamaicans. They know that for the project to succeed, there can't be too much controversy surrounding it. They won't put up with it. Absolutely, TikTok. That is fine. But my thing is, wouldn't it be a better aspiration to have to cut out the controversy surrounding and then expand what pool of coaches we could attract, rather than just saying, well, the controversy can't go nowhere, so let's just get a coach that can handle and deal with all the foolishness. No, we need to stop settling. And that don't have nothing to do with money. The standards, yes. All right, put it this way, TikTok. A player like Mikel Antonio know that him now go get the same exact treatment when he come to Jamaica, but him still come. What is it that makes him still come? Put an effort out. Just show that you're trying, and then we work with it. Just show that you're trying, and then we work with it. How do you determine that about the culture? If you think YouTubers and culture are the reason why the coach bounced, I have a bridge to sell you. Daddy want to know, Joseph Brown, who is that? Who is that? I didn't say that was the reason, did I? Okay. TikTok and Balance have had a messy divorce. So I say it wasn't a clean divorce like the JFF and Hallgrimsson. It was messy. I wonder who get the better of the spoils in that divorce. That was the inference, Owen. Okay, yeah. True, MF. True, Owen. Like, you brought it up for what then? I'm not trying to be disagreeable. Okay. We're having a conversation. Leroy Smart agrees with Joseph Brown, not necessarily a coach in the UK. Many of them do not know Jamaica well enough and the CONCACAF culture. Okay, so Leroy is more on the side of Joseph Brown than I am. Fair. TikTok says the JFF isn't stealing money. The JFF financed our women to the World Cup. Speid, the JFF, and Chung aren't picking our national teams. People must stop telling lies to create chaos around our football. Well, TikTok, that's the thing, I think where you go wrong is you always are saying that YouTubers. But I am a YouTuber, TikTok, and I have never came onto my platform or any other and said that the JFF and Chung are picking the national team and all these things. So if you have a gripe with a YouTuber, right, you need to go to that YouTuber and tell them your gripe with them. Stop, I can't say that all mainstream media love tell lie because Andre Lowe write an article in the Observer that demand them in JFF rubbish a lot of the things in it. I can't do that. That's unfair to traditional media. I can say Andre Lowe, your source them need some checking out. You know what I'm saying? So again, TikTok, you go to every program and you have the same mindset because of a few. Why don't you deal with me how you see me deal with things? Stop bringing up what everybody else do. This is my show. You get me? Foolishness. JFF marketing poor. JPL final fill stadium in Jamaica, but they can't get crowd for national team. Poor marketing. Well, Chris Romans, how do you explain that the same marketing team that filled the stadium was the same marketing team JFF hire? What's the difference? Now the same marketing team. So why they never forward for the Jamaica game if it's the same marketing team? It's not about disagreeing. It's the crudeness, coarseness, and the personalization of the comments. If the coach was my family, I would demand he leaves. Yes, I am a female. Okay, that's not that, A.M. Henry. It's not about disagreeing. Okay, so you're just like the tone with which people disagree is too much. I mean, again, since I am somebody that I think I'm quite measured in how I bring across the content, I understand what you're saying. I don't think some people think about the repercussions and family members and those things. I agree. It's a thin line though, because if you're going to push the needle in anything you're doing, you're gonna upset some people, you know. So it's a thin line. It's a thin line. But I understand where you're coming from, Ian Henry, with this comment right here. Yeah, man, El Granero on our ramp, man. It's a rotted spread him a do. Fake news this. They want Tapper back, Tapper. No one believes that, Gunners. Mr. Speid not going to let that happen. The job bigger than Tapper now. Yeah, I did see that, you know. I wasn't going to put it on screen, but before I started this program, I was just looking at the Observer and the Gleaner, and I saw in the Observer today, that's the first article that I see in the sports news. You know, bring Tapper back. I believe it was not Teagat from Sports Down the Middle, but the original Paul Teagat Davis, big striker. He mentioned that, you know, Tapper would be a good shout. Which I would actually be shocked if Tapper did get back the job, to be honest. I don't believe that the JFF is going to go back in that direction. I tend to believe Speid when he said what he said yesterday, that, you know, his aim is to find another overseas coach. And he wants to do it prior to, or at least by August the 1st. So basically that gives him the month of July to figure that all out. So there's a lot of candidates. He said 20 and could be more by the time he was done talking to Cranky that day. So, you know, we'll see how open this process is, as far as, you know, do they want to release the short list? Do they want to release none of the lists and just tell us who they picked? I'm wondering how that's gonna look. You know, for me, maybe the full list shouldn't be released, but I would love for them to maybe release the short list once they narrow it down, just so that the fans can be aware. You know, some might, AM Henry might disagree and TikTok might disagree there, but you know, I think that's one of the ways that you kind of you let the fans know that you're caring about them as well. We want to be in the loop where necessary. Of course, I don't think fans need to know everything, but that's not something I think the fans need to stay away from. You know, we have coaches in the USA, coaching MLS, so we do have coaches there as well. Plus, Fuller and Butler are highly credentialed coaches, to name a few. Chris Roman said, all that food equal diabetes. My gosh. The Speid and the coach said it was a rubbish article. Why use it as a source for more bashing? No, but I didn't bash anyone with that article. I told you what was rubbished by the JFF, or not the JFF, but by Mr. Speid personally. Yeah, I didn't use that article to bash it. You know, I text because there were some things in the article that he said did occur, and I thought it was a bit telling, you know, what he ended up saying that occurred and what didn't. You know what I'm saying? That's all. This article was written after the coach had a meeting with the players and staff. Yeah, I know. The staff would have been told the day before the article was published, Saturday. The big boys don't play nice. I'm sure the coach had been really cool in other jobs. I would bet money that's not why he left. He's just being diplomatic. Yeah, Tapa got the job at Cornwall College, from what I heard. Leroy. These guys do not have sufficient persona, experience, and exposure to coach and manage Premier League and Championship players who know a cheap alternative to what they had. That's a good point. Henry, I'm willing to bet that unprofessional behavior and a ship that leaks like a sieve played a huge part in his exit. Yeah, his family left from in January. That the writing was on the wall from that. Man, them a challenge you, Joseph Brown. You say, yo, forward with the receipts, you know. What the JFF need is a coach who has coached a national team or managing a league to some success, not an ultimate butler. So Leroy is not feeling Freddie for this post. Totally in agreement. Too many of these clickbaiters were too coarse. Which one you hate to agree on? You should love to agree. Conrad Smith said no local coach to assist the new coach. Well, if the JFF takes Hallgrimsson's advice, Wall and Gordon won't be going anywhere. Something that I never heard Cranky ask this directly, but what I would like to know is, will the new coach have the ability to hire his backroom staff, or will Wall and Gordon just kind of be placed with the new coach? You know, that's something that I would love to hear about. Okay, so Joseph Brown is saying not because he wouldn't want an international coach, but mainly because he doesn't think an international coach will stick around with some of the, what he calls by being handicapped to picking domestic players. Now, this is the type of stuff, Joseph Brown, that TikTok is talking about. Like, is this real news? Is this fake news? Many times they have come out and said that the coach has full autonomy, but the coach himself has said some things that makes you believe otherwise, because he mentions that when it comes down to the JPL players that he had picked in his squad, he heavily relies on Meron Garden for that. So yeah, they say one thing but another thing happens sometimes. The names you mentioned would support as assistants but not as head. Yeah, I think the Butlers, the Fullers, all these guys that are kind of at the academy level coaching more kids right now, I would say they would be assistant coaches as well. I would agree with that, Leroy. Can't help but to agree with what made sense. Yeah, that's why sometimes, Mr. United, I've noticed on these YouTube platforms, it's not necessarily the message, but the messenger. I can say the same exact words as somebody else where people might not like, and because it came from them burn it out, and then I say the same thing, and Jason, good point, man. So this comment makes sense, Mr. United. You just don't want to agree with MF because had no battles in the past. Up at manager man, Jason. Wait, say me are the manager? I don't know. Maybe. My statement still applies. If you remember, I used to see his wife around the team at one point. That is true. She was a part of the team early on, and then you never see her. The names you mentioned, Joseph, I'll be happy to see. Yeah, agree. The house was in St. Anne. All right, I was right about that. Where are we going to meet one day, and maybe you change your mind? I'm never. Yeah, man. MF is very opinionated, but I think for the most part he's fair though. And being malicious as far. I mean, not even for the most part, he's fair. He will hold a reasoning with everybody. Here's a question for everyone as a thought. If the coach who took Canada to the World Cup was available, he isn't, wouldn't we in the chat be happy with his selection? I personally would. I thought John Herdman did an excellent job with Canada. I think when he got to the World Cup, he tried to impose Canada's style when perhaps a little more pragmatism might have gotten them better results. But at the end of the day, you have to admire him not kind of changing his philosophy when he got to the biggest stage. Yeah, I think he did an excellent job with Canada personally. Then the only thing that Herdman may have erred in was I think he was a bit too loyal to some of the people that got him there, because he had other people, I think that were ready to take over. If as an example, if you look at the keeper's performance in this Copa America, Crepeau could have been the starting keeper in the World Cup, but he went for the veteran, who I thought was over the hill, and he stayed. And of course, he played us in the Nations League games, and I thought Borjan was a part of the reason they didn't get through past us. So, yeah, I think he was a bit stubborn but that's tough for any coach. When a set of players has done something for you, gotten you some achievements, gotten you somewhere, it's hard to just dash them away, T got some on the ball. All right, respect T got. But know your mark hard too, Can't help not to love to do. Yeah, man said the food could be better. People them vex with him. Say, how could you say that about our food? There's no evidence that the coach asked for a bonus. The article had there's no evidence, TikTok, that he asked for one. But I'm saying that when pressed on other matters in the article, when he was in the public domain on Cranky's channel, Mr. Speid rubbished them right away. When asked about this particular one, he had a smirk on his face and then said, I decline to comment. Cranky asked him again. He had the same smirk and he said, I decline to comment. So let that mean what you think it mean. But why I'm never just rubbish that one right away as well? You tell me. Macron, Suriname, New Jersey sponsor. Mad. That's good. Suriname, I get things done, man. Speid rubbished it. Hallgrimsson can't call one player name. He said Hallgrimsson never asked the JFF for any player they didn't do their best to help. It is fake news. Yeah, I guess this is probably from when I was reading the article, so I understand. TikTok said people need to get their own passport. Don't trust anybody with your personal information. No, I am not saying that the JFF have to physically take the man them documents, I'm saying, do they have any kind of, like, is there a document the JFF have, right, that they can send to a player and say, these are the literal steps to get the thing done? Literal, and I don't mean like the relevant agencies. I mean like with email address and contact to the person at that agency that the JFF deal with. Like things like going over the top, going above. I'm not saying you must go to the man yard and ask him what is your father's middle name and JFF write it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying facilitate an easier process. That's all. Is that so much to ask? I don't think so. Where do we go from here? That is the $1 million question. So listen, people. We have about what? I don't even know how much time we have left, but I'm going to do this, people. I want to take some calls because I want to hear your thoughts on, who you'd like to see come in and all of those things like that, right? So that is the WhatsApp call-in number, people. You guys give me a call at that number. I will take the call. And we get things done. All right. I see a lot of comments coming through, people. I'm trying to get through all of them, but I see a big one that I have to highlight here. El Granero with the big spread on the grill, drop a $20 on the board. Yeah, man. So man say like, share, subscribe, and drop a super chat if possible. So say a man who could possibly drop a super chat, drop one there. So follow El Granero's lead. I'm going to leave this on the screen for now. And I'm going to put this in the comment section as well. WhatsApp calling number. Yeah, man, give me a call, people. I should be able to answer it right here. And everybody should be able to hear you, okay? So this is the call-in number, people. And El Granero, respect for the super chat, bro. Very, very much appreciated. If you didn't hear me, move that forward and bring some ribs to the party, you know? Because the Escovitch snapper sound away in idea. Believe me. All right, so I think I've kind of scrolled past a lot of the stuff that I saw people writing, but that's okay. That's okay, people. You guys have been keeping up with that. You guys have been keeping up with that, so I appreciate that. So yeah, man, the call-in number has been put in the chat section. So anybody can give me a call. Respect 1-1 for the £5. Respect, bro. Oh, Leroy Smart, you win the other night and you want to give me a £20 offer. You're a good man. Just send me a message to that WhatsApp number. I don't know. The UK use Zelle. I don't know if UK use Zelle. TikTok say my bias. Let me hear why TikTok say my bias now. Jason, you are not listening. You have your bias. Speid said the JFF facilitate the players with passport issues, referring them to the right people to help them. We don't want any player unable to do it. All right, TikTok. I see you put we. So one day, TikTok, you're gonna call into my program. One day. I'm gonna get you to call in. One of these days, TikTok, we're gonna know who you are. But I'm not. Why you say I'm not listening and I have my bias? Why I have bias? Why would I be biased? All I want, man, say more chicken and less ribs. Yo, if I'm gonna be a true just son, you know, I have to stop with the ribs thing for real, you know. But bro, pork never done nothing bad to me yet. So I'm not going to discriminate against it. You understand? You might not understand still, but like what I think it was my grand aunt. My grand aunt did have a brother where used to sort out the yard fair, and I think he was a Rasta man. And one day the man must say like forward pan a weekday and some Sunday dinner it left back and have some pork. And the man well hungry. So the man eat the pork, you know. And when him go the day, you know, him go to my auntie and him say, yo, don't tell nobody, but it's a sweet eating meat that. And that man there was a Rasta man. So you see the whole of no, we love bonfire per man when they am pork. The whole of no come in like that Rasta man they we deal with my grandmother, sister. So we're getting a call, people. Go check in and see who it is. You're live on Jason Gooner TV. Who do I have the honor of speaking with?
You have Jason Gooner, Leroy Smart, live and direct from UK. How you doing?
Big up yourself, Leroy Smart, out of the UK. I am doing very well. As you know, in America, it is the 4th of July. So we're doing a bit of celebrating, I guess you could say. Really and truly,
that's right.
All it is an excuse to eat a lot of food, which I am okay with that. So
yeah man. Well, first of all, pass on this number to
United.
Whoever did ask for it.
Yes, I will. I will be sure that Mr. United gets the number. And you were asking about, you know, getting the winnings to me. To be totally honest, Leroy, I know that YouTube is gonna get a portion of it. But if you'd like, you can utilize the super chat feature. That works for me.
All right, I shall do that. You know, I'm ashamed to say that I profited from betting against Jamaica. But it is what it is, you know?
Yeah, look, I mean, when you're making decisions like that, you have to put aside your heart's allegiances and try to go from an analytic perspective. So I understand your choice there. I can't beat you up too bad for that. But Leroy, you have been watching the program, you've been around. What would you like to add to the conversation?
Well, it's really just from afar. I mean, I was resident in Jamaica for quite a while and left there in the 80s, but I come back every now and again. Well, not every now and again, probably every other year, if not every year. So just really from the footballing from afar. And I do have a bit of a background in football, but, you know, just as an observer, you know, I think the reasons for Hallgrimsson leaving have been well documented. And if it's a case of looking to who the new coach is, and I think I threw something out there which you responded to, which is, you know, if we have the ex-Canada coach, would people be happy with that? And you seem to be, and a few people in the chat, you know, and some mentioned Jesse Marsh as well, who obviously wasn't who I was referring to. But I think certainly from where I sit, and I mentioned something about, in my opinion, Jamaica is caught between a style of football which the supporters may want, but the players are not capable of undertaking. So Jamaicans obviously bred up and brought up on South American football and Brazil and so on and so forth, but the players at our disposal do not play that style of football. And even Brazil these days do not play that style of football. But I think we're caught between a style which is using a lot of UK-based players who will play a certain way, and obviously whatever domestic players we use are used to playing a certain way, and having a coach who can marry the two styles, because at the moment Jamaica look like a bad version of England. And, you know, if everybody's watching the Euros, you know what England are like. So it is a case of finding a coach, I think, has to understand the culture, the style of football in the region, because remember, only the English-speaking countries will generally play a European style of football. All the Spanish-speaking countries will play a totally different style of football, possession-based, individually skill-based. They're small, they're not really physically dominant. And I hear this thing about Jamaica should play to their advantages, which is get the ball out to wide players and take them on with the athletic ability. But football is not athletics. And I think we need a coach who, for one, understands the style, is from the region or understands the region, and has some kind of background in coaching and improving players. Who that is, I couldn't say. I can only name the profile, but who that is, I couldn't tell you. And unfortunately, I don't think Jamaica has that resident coach, which is why I also said in the chat was, yeah, get guys as assistants, and that way they will be right next door to someone with international experience, and that's how they learn.
Yeah, I think, you know, I think you're spot on when you say that the resident coaches might not exist, especially if the goal is to qualify for the World Cup, right? Because if you look at a lot of these teams that are still in the qualifying realm, when you look at the Haitis of the world, the Surinams of the world, the Costa Ricas of the world, you know, they would all be pretty well versed in CONCACAF football. At the profession, at not a professional level, but at the international level. And so I think we need to be coming with something similar. If we're not going to get coaches that are familiar with CONCACAF, then they need to be bloody well familiar with whatever region they're coming from at that level, right? And so I do agree in the sense that some of the names that are coming up that may have an affinity to Jamaica, whether it's the Deon Burtons of the world, the Ricardo Fullers of the world, the Bibi Gardners of the world, the Freddie Butlers of the world, they would be the candidates that I would see making more sense in a role that the JFF has been letting coaches like Miguel Coley fill and Marion Garden fill. You know, why is it that we aren't going for these coaches that may be overseas already, that haven't gotten to that first team level? If we want to have people learning and understudying for some international managers, why haven't we been thinking of putting those type of names in place? Why is it that we're using Freddie Butler and Bibi Gardner as ambassadors? Why aren't they just assistant coaches?
Yeah, I agree with you, and I don't really know what Bibi Gardner is doing now. I did hear that he's involved in music or whatever, but obviously he isn't entrenched in the football. But you're exactly right, and there's nothing wrong with having two assistant coaches or guys specific for the role. I mean, if anybody was watching the Euros, you would notice that England has on the bench, my mind's gone blank now, the striker who used to play for Chelsea and Middlesbrough, the Dutchman.
Oh, Hasselbank.
Sorry, go second.
Jimmy Hasselbank.
Yeah, Hasselbank is part of the Jamaican coaching staff, and it is, it is having the right people in. There's nothing wrong with having two assistants. You could have Baby Garden, you could have Altamont, and you could have Dion Burton or someone like that. In my opinion, Paul Hall was probably the right person, but unfortunately he came at the wrong time when the JFF still had a lot of their problems. But from a coaching point of view, he was head of an academy. He knew what he wanted from players. He was experienced in coaching younger players as well as older players. Players like Eze, Palace, and a lot of those players came through him. So I think he had the right profile. He understood Jamaica because whilst not born there, he visited the country enough times during the World Cup campaign and played for Jamaica. So he was probably the right person.
Well, I want to touch on Paul Hall's, I guess you would say, his resume as it relates to coming back and coaching us, right? And the reason why I wanted to touch on Paul Hall's resume, you mentioned just now that you think, when you look at a lot of the aspects that the coach has to deal with, he might be one of the names that you think would make sense, right? And you also mentioned that you think it was just bad timing. Now, what I would want to find out from you is, what would have been the changes that would have occurred from then to now that would let you think maybe Paul Hall could come back?
Well, to be totally honest, I mean, I don't know whether this is true or not, and maybe people in the chat could testify for that. But then I heard some of his demands about not being based in Jamaica, but being based out of Florida. I don't know how true that was. And obviously the structure, and I think some of the people who were instrumental in his leaving, or who he was unhappy with, are no longer there. I mean, it's I can't really see him coming back, to be fair. His list of demands would probably be too long, and they probably wouldn't have changed that much from when he left. But certainly from a coaching perspective, I saw more development in the team. But then it wouldn't have been very hard to see some progress after Tapper's tendency, to be fair. The team now is more structured, better defensively. But that is about it. And I don't know what your background in football is, but we all know it is easier to coach a team to defend than it is to coach a team to be progressive.
Absolutely.
In the other thirds of the field. So, Hallgrimsson did the basics, which was to be expected. What we need is a coach, whether it is Paul Hall, but I think everything from the profile, he could do the job. Not that I am putting his name in there, because I don't think the JFF have got a history of going back on people, unless it's a very cheap option like Tapper. And I certainly think the demands Paul Hall would want on the guarantees after his previous tenure, and I think they didn't really leave on good terms anyway. So it's a non-starter, but really it's someone along those lines. I can't think of anyone, but the thing about football is there's always somebody there.
Absolutely.
When we didn't have a manager, everybody came up with every name, and the best alternative was a coach who was an understudy to a world-class manager who was proving himself to be more than capable to do the job. So there's probably someone around, but just from a cultural point of view, which I think is important in football, it has to come from the region or be familiar with the region. Another European coach, and I said so on a different platform a long time ago that coaches from Scandinavia are based in 4-4-2 and being very negative and defensive.
Yeah, rigid, pragmatic. Yeah.
Rigid, yes. Yeah. Yes. And that is a cultural thing as well as a footballing thing, because a lot of them are influenced by Roy Hodgson. If you look back on your history in the 70s and when Hodgson went to Sweden and his philosophy spread around Northern Europe. So I'd find it strange if another manager came in from that region or from Europe.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Leroy, if you have no other points to make, man, I just want to say I really appreciate the call.
I've got the chat, but big up to everybody in Jamaica. Glad to hear that everybody's safe, because I was listening quite closely over the last 24 hours. So glad the island never get hit too much. Everybody, whether you're from UK, US, or wherever on the chat, I'm in the background catching a bit of the election over here. Because we have a general election. And so I'm still listening to you, Jason. So keep the good work, all right?
Yeah, man. Thanks so much for the support. And yeah, I will pass on the info to Mr. United and thing, and you guys can link that way. And thanks again. All right, boss?
Yes. All right, then. Take care.
Yeah, man. Big up, Leroy. Yeah, man. So that was Leroy Smart over there in the UK. You know, we have fans all about the place, man. So that's great. Very knowledgeable on the sport, involved in the game as well in the UK. One day we'll have to have him on and have him, you know, give his history of what he has done in the game, because seems to have a lot of connections over there. And yeah, it's always good to hear about Jamaicans that have gone overseas and, you know, done things in the game of football, whether on the pitch or off. So definitely we'll set that up for one day, people, and we can get the full story of Mr. Smart and what he's got going on over there. Does a lot with the academies and youth football over in England. So might be a good person to get to know. You never know what he can bring to the table as far as access to players and those things are concerned. So yeah, man, let's give the chat some love as well. I see some people having a conversation in the comment section. So what I want to do now, people, obviously the phone line is open, but no Apache. We actually thought that initially, but we we figured out that it is not the artist Leroy Smart. It is not the artist Leroy Smart. And Jean-Pierre fan, I hope all is good with you and yours as well. I know not everyone was as lucky as my parents, but you know, prayers up for everybody that you might know. Hopefully everybody got through relatively okay. Cool? Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So to be totally honest, people, this has been a great show. A lot of conversation, a lot of talk. You know, really and truly, the last thing I want to discuss is just some names, right? What are some names that you guys think could get this job? And we have to factor in everything, people. We know we have, you know, it's not like we have an unlimited budget, so we can't go and pry Pep Guardiola from City. I heard Speid mentioning Argentinian tacticians as, you know, people that he admires due to their flexibility in games and ability to play numerous systems in one game just to get the job done. You know, he mentioned that he would like for them to have some history in this region if possible. And if not, they would just have to be winners wherever they have been. You know, he did mention as well that it could be a benefit to have someone in Europe that might be a bit closer to some of the player base that we have currently. So there's a lot of variables that he mentioned. The question is going to be which one is most important to him. You know, when I look at coaches from Argentina now currently coaching that would have had some kind of history in CONCACAF, I've heard the name of Tata Martino thrown around because he's at Inter Miami now. I can't see him leaving that job to work for the JFF. No disrespect to the Reggae Boyz, but you know, they've built an all-star team. Yes, they're a bit long in the tooth, but it's the MLS and they probably can get the job done. He's probably eyeing winning a trophy there. Already has a Leagues Cup with Inter Miami, had some success already. And you would have to think that with Messi being there, you know, who knows how many more superstars will come and play with him. So I don't believe that he's going to leave that situation there. You know, there's, you know, if you look at Copa America, all of the most successful teams have an Argentina manager, but all of them will be, you know, the manager for Colombia ain't leaving. The manager for Bielsa ain't leaving Uruguay. I don't believe that Scaloni going to leave Messi and Argentina either after winning a World Cup and potentially going out for this Copa America now. You know, when you look at there's a lot of players or coaches, I should say, in England whose names have come up, the likes of Darren Moore, right? The likes of Paul Hall, of course. You know, you have your Dean Burtons of the world, your Ricardo Fullers of the world, which I tend to agree with Leroy Smart in the sense that maybe these are managers where it would be a bit too soon for them, as I think they're still trying to, you know, get where they'd like to get as far as management is concerned, still coaching at the youth level and academy level, the age group levels, not quite getting to the first team just yet. I think Darren Moore would be the most prepared for a job like this. You know, when you look at his CV, you're talking West Brom, Doncaster, Sheffield Wednesday, and Huddersfield, right? I guess the knock on him would be most of those teams relegation threatened, you know, maybe not the best results. And again, I think when you look at playing style as well, you know, while he's not Scandinavian, would we see the type of attacking systems that we would want to see out of our coach, out of Darren Moore? I'm not so sure about that part. You know, that's something to think about as well. TikTok said no coach with a previous Jamaican connection. They are traumatized like Bailey and can't see the improvements from their time and are hostile to the federation. I see. So that would rule out your Fullers, Bibi seems to have a good relationship with the federation. Don't think that he has the CV to do it now, but he could be somebody that they groom, you know, because he seems to be in good standing with the JFF currently. I don't know how Dean Burton's relationship with the JFF is. I know Fuller and the JFF don't quite see eye to eye, especially the leaders of it now. So that would be a problem more than likely. Big up yourself, Ryan. Elite Sports TV in the building. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. TikTok said the YouTuber them fault, you know? A lot of these things. The coach is and will be hired to get us to the World Cup, not to develop system of play or players. Full stop. That is true, A.M. Henry. But I think to achieve the World Cup, the coach will have to employ some type of system to get us there. Not saying he needs to develop Jamaica's system for the next 40 years. I'm just saying, you know, a clear system is going to help us get there. Be yourself. We need a professional organization to put the right infrastructure in place. That would be very helpful. Patrick Vieira. I think Patrick Vieira would be awesome as a coach. I just don't know if Patrick Vieira would be interested in the work. You know, I would think he wants to secure another job in Europe somewhere in one of the top 5 leagues. You know, Deschamps cycle is probably going to end after potentially this Euro, maybe the World Cup. Maybe he has eyes on coaching the national team. Who knows? It would take a lot of convincing, I would think, Chris. But yeah, I mean, that would be awesome. I think he's somebody that Palace gave up on too quickly, if you ask me. Yeah. I have some family in Manchester, as I said, they got lashed. Family in St. Elizabeth as well, so it wasn't looking good for St. Elizabeth, Bay, parts of Negril, Hanover. Hall is the man for the job, says Rob. Need 3 more likes for the target. I know people. I just 3 more likes me need for the target. I'm ask for. Dege 100 me ask for, you know, man. I know way more than 100 popping on the show today, but just 100 people. 3 more likes, I'm going to get it, you know, people. Yeah, man, see it there? Storm mash up in place in a Portland cottage. Yeah, man, I see some crazy video from Portland. Now, this brother, Marcelo Gallardo, polarizing figure, but attacking coach. If you remember him playing as well, very dangerous number 10 for Argentina and River Plate. You know, I wonder how good his English is. That would be one thing. I know Simon is fluent in Spanish, but you know, he has to be the press officer. I don't know if he can be the coach's full-time translator as well. Yeah, man. How things for your people in a something there, Ryan, in a Jamaica. English speaking coach only. Yeah, that would be my one concern as well, TikTok. So that's why I'm asked about how good him English is. Getting the coach for the last years and the same result. What that mean? Yeah, so I've seen a lot of people mention this. Even when he was on Cranky's show, they were saying, boy, you have failed at picking under 20 coach, under 17 coach, women coach, men coach, every coach you pick failed. Now, first of all, is that a true statement? I don't believe Hallgrimsson was a total failure. The only thing I will say is this. He mentioned some things to Cranky that he would have as his criteria. One of which was he would like for them to have somewhat of an understanding of the culture. He wanted them to have somewhat of an understanding of CONCACAF football, right? And he said, you know, he would want them to be winners wherever they were. So when you look at the criteria he gave Cranky and you look at Hallgrimsson, you know, you could argue he's a winner because he did take Iceland to the World Cup, right? So that's, I mean, that's a big achievement for Iceland. So I'll give him that one. Now, as far as in tune with the culture, clearly no, that would be an X on that. I'm getting a WhatsApp call. Let me see who it is. Make sure they want to be on the phone. Yo, what's going on? Carl. So Carla, big up yourself. Let me know who I'm speaking with.
Come on, Rude Boy. Original Rude Boy.
All right, so original Rude Boy calling into the platform. Yes, first time calling. So big up yourself and thanks for supporting Jason Gooner TV.
Big up yourself and big up the whole world and big up to everybody. Peace and love and you know.
All right, respect for that, Rude Boy. So make we know, Rude Boy, what you want to add to the conversation? You have some thoughts on the new coach?
I tell you about a little brother named TikTok. I tell you about Paul and Leon Bailey. People fi stop going at people. What you call it now? Controversy and them life, this, that. People make people prosper because we are all human beings and everybody have the same what you say now, the same thing growing up as kids are human beings. You understand what I say, my brethren? So a man, if he just left a man, make a man prosper and stop beat down on people because all over the years and the century and years gone by, that music that sing already, you know, years gone by and still words don't come easily. You remember that music there?
Words don't come easily.
All right. We just have through that thing that come up anyway. TikTok, leave people, man. Make everybody prosper, man. Just make peace reign, man. Everybody can't think the same. Everybody never make to be the same. Every living creature on the earth, ants, whatever mammal, whatever creature, everybody don't have the same life of living and the same like food. You understand? Go about daily. You understand me? I say. So when I say about parallel and this and that, we all know that Jamaica is a place where local people don't get much chance in a sports fraternity. You know, we know that. And when it comes on to we as Jamaicans, we like to pull on our own young, our own people, and we are trying to make a little egg in a life or try to push them up for somebody see them. You understand what I say, my brother?
Yeah.
So people, when you feel left, people make people live, man, because you see Europe, anywhere in Europe or anywhere in America, England, it's easier for people strive, you know. It's just a Caribbean, you know. People pull on people and hold on people, you know. I saw me, from me, I picked them there, I mean, know them the something, you know. I saw me go through, because I don't go no mother and father, you know. I can't tell you the nitty-gritty, the tough, and so when you feel left, people make people live, man. You know, you have your own opinion, you know. At the end of the day, I can't tell you what you say, you know. As I
True.
We are human beings, but just don't dig on people, man. Leave Leon Bailey, you know. He must try. He might be family member them for help out, you know. You have to remember them something, you know. He might have other people help out sufficiency with whatsoever he have to help them with. Well, we don't know. It's just the world is a funny thing, you know. It's a recycle, you know. But they are today and tomorrow when they're there. You understand what I say? So people, if you stop tearing down people, man. If Paul want to get the job or if you don't want to take it, make him do what he want to do. Stop hit on people, man. Why you never take it then TikTok? But take it, you know? You understand me? I say, my brother, no, me not beat him down there, you know, because sometimes a man might say something and him not understand what him say. But from me, I want to get a chance to say something. You don't want to take over it.
No, well, all I say on the TikTok thing is, I think where TikTok is just a bit unfair because him claim that a lot of people have a lot of biases, right? But it's clear in the way he talks that he has his own biases. So I don't understand why film bias mean more than another person's. You know, that's the only thing I would say about TikTok. But TikTok harmless, brother. TikTok would have never call in. He would have never show him face. So it is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah, just when sometimes, you know, some of it don't, you know, because me not well educated, you know. So sometimes you will see a man make a comment and you can barely read the word and you understand, and then you follow what he's saying. It's just like a blind and lead blind, you understand? So because sometimes a man might put out a little sentence and you jump in it, but you don't understand what the sentence means. You get to me, I say? As me say, I'm not well educated, I can read and write. But sometimes a man tell you something and you run with him. Yeah, you get to me, I say, my brother?
Yeah, man, no, me know what you say, man. Me know what you say.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, TikTok, me not good on you, but no say bad things about the little man, man. Just make peace reign with them, man. Left and daily, man. Make him focus on the new season that come up, man. At Jamaica, and anything with Jamaican there, we did that for them, and we love with Jamaican. Female, young athletes, everybody, man, because we are our country smiling, and you see Usain Bolt or the man, Usain Bolt, and them the man that make the world know say, and Jamaica little but with Talawa. You understand? So just make peace reign, man, and make everybody live, man. Because when you have a son or a daughter, you know, the same thing, she ever come in or him, you know. You're not going nobody to tear them down. Am I right, sir?
You are right there. You are right there.
So think about you picking them or your niece and your nephew, because I know you're family members. So stop tear down people, man. We used to do it, you know, because at Jamaica, I come from, you know, when I know me, I grew up, you know, me 49 and I'm wise up, and certain things when me used to do, me didn't do it no more, I said, because you open to the whole world and you understand what the world is about. You understand? And stuff what you used to say, you used to pull down a man. You don't want to do that because you maybe have 15 young niece and everywhere come up, and you don't want nobody to do that to them.
No, that is true. That is true, Road Boy. And honestly, the overall sentiment of this call make a lot of sense. You just basically say, listen, there is no need for a single out and a point out. We can give it takes them, and that is fine. And that is fine. But what would I say to you, Road Boy? Honestly, come here, hear you talk, you know, and you make sure tell me a few times say you're not educated. You're not educated. What more you do? Stop that you're not educated. You might not be educated in the sense of, you know, classroom and those things, but the way you're reasoning right now, but the way you're reasoning right now, you're selling yourself short. Because remember, you know, Bob Marley tell me, you know, if I was educated, I would be a damn fool. So it don't mean because you never run down traditional education, you can't hold reasoning with people. That's all I'm gonna say to you. Don't be so quick to tell people that you're uneducated, because at the end of the day, whatever we're talking about, you might be educated about that. You understand?
No, Jason. I grew up and play football at Portugal at late school. That's what I'm going on, boys home. I tell the whole world this already, and I'm not ashamed. I'm very happy, because you see where I'm going from? That come like a college. So I don't have to go university or this or that. I go through the world, you know. I travel to America, all over America. Me and my girlfriend and this guy stay here. And at Portugal, I grew up. One little school named Portugal All-Age at Kingston 1, right at Norman Manley Airport. You drive from the airport, go down in Portugal, that's where Gloria Seafood Restaurant. And that's how I finish up, grew up my childhood. I mean, I used to play soccer over there as the little boy, you understand me? So I know football. So most time I call them, a couple of weeks ago, I tell them, the Jamaican Reggae Boyz, I love them, but a couple of weeks ago, I tell them, no, Bridget, we don't have a chance of going at this side. Because when we look and soon be the two Dominican, I struggle, we don't be Dominican, them 3-2 and 1 love, you know. That's not football, you know. 98 football, man, them was footballer.
All right, now hold on the Rude Boy. Yeah. Because me all enough to remember 98 and them thing there, right?
How much?
Me closer to 40.
You look like you're 40, so 39.
Yeah, man, me closer to 40 than 50, right?
Okay.
And what me can say is there's a lot of times when we talk about those teams because of what they achieved, right? We made it to the World Cup, and I was there, so I saw it. I was there. But this whole notion that the team was playing a certain brand of ball, and that is just not the truth. I mean, we got results in 98. We can't go around that. But it wasn't like everybody was just so thrilled with the style and all these things. As a matter of fact, going into that World Cup, people were saying the squad need reinforcements to compete.
Yeah.
So it wasn't all gravy. Even after we qualified, there was a lot of things going on in the football.
Man, yeah, listen, Jason. Remember when we did at Jamaica and the Reggae Boyz qualifying, man. I'm a worries, man. I'm Independent City at Portman there. So anyway, I don't want to go back to that, but see them little young Reggae Boy, I don't know if them have too much little easy things that go fit them with. We need some tough man. We need some tough man we are coming at the squad that we can pump. When you say pump, when ball are pump, you move towards football, Then you look youth nowadays, man. Them even want to watch them play, be honest with you.
Well,
all right, Chelsea are my team, nowadays don't even want to watch the Premier League, Premier League gone to dogs, man. And I'm best league in the world.
So okay, so basically you have said the man them earn too much money and them don't have the fight and drive.
I like little prettiness. I see Brazil have one when you're Neymar. All them they are pretty baller, tattoo and hairstyle. Neymar and them. Them for watch out Drogba, them playing Salaman, Kalu and Michael Estin, them and all of them big man from the days gone.
Well, one thing
and them man. You understand?
One thing I can tell you, rude boy, you see them baller the way you just call, the whole of them did make a bag of money and a party and do them things same way. But
me know, but they score goals. We get the goal. Me wrong, I'm right.
We say them a give the results with the off the field things.
Yeah, man. I mean, all right, look on the great Ronaldinho and Roberto Carlos and Ronaldo them. We know them party. That Brazil are my team, in any World Cup game, Brazil. After me born in Brazil, me a year, with the great Pele, because nobody can be Pele in a world. Pele are the greatest ever born on the earth, And then me stick Cristiano Ronaldo underneath him, Anyway, somebody else might.
Yeah, man. Rude boy, big up yourself. Rude boy, big up yourself. And respect for the call.
To everybody in the world and just keep the peace, man. And leave people, make people live and make peace reign over people, man.
Yeah, man. Nothing wrong with that sentiment there. Peace is the answer to
man,
everything.
And I just love to everybody, man.
Yeah,
love
man.
Every minute, every second, every day. And eat food every day.
Yeah, man. Big up yourself, rude boy, and make sure you lock in. Make sure you lock in the subscription, turn on the bell. Yeah, man. And when the
press like, just press I'm was 97, 98, man.
All right. Respect. That alone we ask for. Zine, and big up yourself and stay safe.
Yes, I love.
All right, cool. Yeah, man, people. So, Mr. Chris did I say, I guess I did miss what him say about 98 results. I never caught him. All I really heard him saying was he was starting to fantasize about it. And we just didn't want to tell him, say, listen, man, me did it too. And while I'm very thankful and grateful that I was alive and at those games, it wasn't like we were just knocking teams off the park with this beautiful style. We did a lot of defending in those games as well. And we had a solid defense, and Barrett was solid in goal. And that was how we got most of the results. And we had a striker at the time who caught fire, Dean Burton, and just scored every game. You know what I mean? So it was what it was, and I'm thankful. But let's not act like it was just some brilliant Samba style football going on. No, it was a lot of grafting going on as well. Yeah, here's my dad saying the 98's team style of play has been romanticized. While the results were great, it was not pretty at all. Wait a second, pull up the qualifying results. Yeah, man, it was quite a run of games there when you look at it. Let me see if I can actually see the qualifying results, because I'm just seeing the World Cup results here. Let's see. Qualifiers. Jamaica, road to 98. France fixtures. All right, just to have a little history lesson here, we are gonna show you the qualification for Jamaica What's this now? Every player. Hold on 1 second, the people. I was trying to find a list of games from that time. So let's see. Jamaica World Cup qualification 1998. All right, so CONCACAF. All right, so this would have all the games here. So we got a bye into the first round. So after the preliminary round, which you would have passed. All right, let me get this on the screen so I can see it. Absolutely. Style of play was a bit more adventurous. Jamaica is respectful. Yeah, no, Brazil, Dina, I'll give you that. We were more adventurous, but at the same time, regardless of how adventurous we were, for long stretches of games, we had to just graft and defend. You know what I mean? All right, so this is just a reminder of, and let me just check and see if we hit the likes target, because I'm not gonna pull up them something like, yeah, man. So we'll blow past the 100. So respect for that, people. We're coming up to almost what, 2.5 hours. So this is the last thing I'm going to do. I'm just going to show you guys on screen. No, he's saying that the channel now has 900 plus subscribers. Not that we use 900 plus substitutions. No. We tried to replicate this over the next 5 World Cup qualifiers and failed. No. It's not. I'm not showing this to replicate anything, AM Henry. I am simply just putting the qualification process on the screen, because I think that people they just don't remember certain things, right? So, as I said before, we didn't play the preliminary round. We would have gotten through that based on a bye, right? So it would have been in the first round where we drew Suriname in a 2-leg thing. And you see, we beat them 1-0 both times, right? This is in 96 people. So the first game would have been in Suriname. Tapper got the goal there, and then Paul T. got Davis scored in the second game. And I want you to note 6,100 people in the stadium for this game against Suriname, right? So that's the first round. And would have gotten to the second round, which was again a 2-legged tie. This time we played Barbados, and we won this one 1-0 away. Blacker scored in the 98th minute. Then in this one against Barbados, attendance step up now in June, 15,000, so about half full. Tapper and Blacker score, so it was 2-0, so that's 3-0 on aggregate, right? Now, after that one, we got into something a bit more serious now. This would have been the third round, so it was groups of 4, 3 groups of 4, top 2 advance, and as you can see, Jamaica ended up topping this zone. From 6 games played, they got 4 wins, 1 draw, and a loss, right? Mexico lost 2 games in this one, so they finished second. And then in the final, the hexagon, the hex now would have finished third. 10 games played, 3 wins, 5 draws, and 2 losses, right? So, and what I want to show you as well, I don't know why they're not giving me the full 100 of this right here. So group 3. Why them don't give me the games? I don't know. Okay, so here go the games in this round now. So we'll give Honduras 3-0. But what I want to look at, this is September 96. 21,000, not bad, right? Blacker score 2, Tapper score 1. Let me see if them give me anything in the report. All right, perfect. Somebody want to see the lineup. This is the first game of the semi-final round now, not the final round, but the semi-final round. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, first game of the semi-final round. So look at the starting lineup. But Barrett, Rudy Dixon, Ian Goodison, Tati Brown round the back. Then we had Messam left back, right back Fabian Davis. Midfield would have been Cargill, Whitmore, and Hector Wright. And then you would have had Blacker and Onandilo probably would have played forward, right? So that's how it would have looked. So based on this team right here, there's really it's pretty much all local players at this point, right? So win that game 3-0. Next game we play was against St. Vincent. Paul Young with the brace. So Paul Young was playing definitely mainly locals. Then we went to Mexico and lost 2-1. Hermosillo and Zage. This was the game when Blacks had that goal. I'm pretty sure this was the one when him cut in on him left foot to make it 2-1. Yeah, October 96 that would have been. And then we drew to Honduras away. We gave St. Vincent 5-0. Now this was the biggest win of this round. This 1-0. I remember I was at this game. Pepe scored from a corner with a header. And this was the lineup. So pretty much very similar to what we saw before. So he was pretty settled with his 11 at this point. And still really no overseas. I think Walder Harris was playing overseas, but was from Jamaica, obviously. So yeah, in that whole period, we really didn't have any overseas players playing yet. It was all local base. Then as we got to, let's see, let me go back one. Okay, then we got to this fourth round now. And this would have been the final round now. And I want to look at the teams that we had now. So the first game was our game against USA at home. We got 35,000. So this was pretty much a sellout. And this is the final qualifying round now. So remember, we started out the campaign with that game. It was 6,000 fans. Once we got to the final round, we had a full stadium. And if you look at the team, still all local base. Nobody from overseas yet, right? So we got 1 point there. I think this window here, when we got this 6-0 in the second game of the round, right? This 6-0 that we went to Mexico and pick up. Why is it going to World Cup 26? So I can't, somehow, for some reason, it's not giving me the lineup for this one. Keep sending me somewhere mad. But yeah, this game right here, we got the 6-0. And then we drew with Canada. See if they give me anything for this. Yes, they did. So still the same players, basically. Christopher Dawes, Adedine, Dean Sewell, Adedine, but mainly just adding local players. That's 97. Then we got a 3-1 from Costa Rica. So that wasn't a good result for us. Got this win 1-0. I think that was might have been like a free kick, but look at this. We play El Salvador and we get 12,000. So even when the results started to go left, the fans went left with the results because we had a sellout against USA, in the first game, And then after that, we draw with USA, we get the 6-0. We draw with Canada away. We lose to Costa Rica away. Then we had the next game at home and the fans them never forward. 12,000 people came to this 1-0 game. Right? Andy Williams scoring. And still no sign of any overseas reinforcements, right? After that game now, we had a 1-0 victory with Canada. And by this point, you see Dean Burton scored that goal. So this was the start of it. and we got 30,000 that day as well. So we had back-to-back wins against Canada. By this point, you see Paul Hall joined the mix, Fitzroy Simpson and Dean Burton. Right, we had Robbie Earl on the bench as well. So you started to see those were the first 4 that came in. Burton again, second game playing, second goal, that 1-0 versus Costa Rica, again 30,000. Then we had, this was one of our better games I can remember us playing in this campaign. This 1-1 with USA in DC. I believe my father was at that game as well. So that was a big one. And then from that point, we got the 2-2 draw with El Salvador. You know, really could have got the 3 points, but gave up a goal late. And then we needed this draw against Mexico, which some people have reported. I don't have any truth or actual knowledge of this, that the draw was worked out. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was the run to the World Cup, people. And, you know, it was going in the wrong direction until this run of fixtures right here. The 1-0 against El Salvador was very helpful, but then once we broke from June, August, by September, we had gotten 4 players in to add to the professionalism, and we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unbeaten, including 2 wins and 3 draws to close out the campaign to get us there. So yeah, man, that was those were some good times for me. You know, a lot of memories, a lot of joy with the family and dad. But yeah. All right, so let me bless up all the people them where did say anything while I was going through that little history lesson. Came from the creativity of players like Tapper who could pull the strings. That's a good point. That as well, with the adventurousness of certain players in the team. Yeah, man, let them know that Blacker goal in Barbados is famous. Yeah, it was a big one. Blacker score after camera pack up, goal footage never capture. May I tell you what qualities you think this new coach should come in with? A clear plan. I think that's the most important thing. The coach needs to have a clear plan, a clear way of playing. I think with our players, the more direct you can make your communication to them, the better. And tell them what you want. You know, I think that will be the most helpful thing, to be honest. Just have a clear plan and vision. What's your view on the skill level of Hutchinson and Ravel? Ask Raniero. I wonder if Daddy answered that. Moses, big up yourself. Best football player as a country is that game versus United States right before the World Cup. Yeah, I totally agree, Moses. When I watched that game in full, that's one of the better games in terms of overall possession, style of play, how we were playing, you know, front foot, you know, not afraid to play through pressure. You know, that was a really, really good performance, I thought. And we definitely gave them a goal, you know. So, well, they gave us a goal and the ref gave them a goal because there's no way that was. I wish VAR was there that day, believe me. And respect for the super chat, Moses. Hex final round. Yeah, that's true. TikTok. A bunch of close games besides the 6-love and the 3-1. That is true. Yeah, we did. We did top them in the group prior to the Hex. Yeah, nobody really talks about that for real. Pops maybe not in the middle of the park, but the wingers we have, Gray, Bailey, Dixon, and Cephas, could represent that creativity in this modern football if utilized properly in a structured system. All right. Well, I said the Gold Cup game. Yeah, we did do some good things in that game. But Brazil was very wasteful too. I mean, obviously Brazil going to create chances in Brazil. But I think the USA game, though, overall, while Brazil is a better opponent, I think we actually played better versus USA. We played well against Brazil as well, but Brazil wasted wholly per chance, and Barrett was unreal on the day. Have you watched the game against Uruguay? That's another one that I have watched. I haven't watched it that recently, though. I probably watched it like last year sometime. An old game that I watched the most recently would have probably been when we played Chile. That game against Chile. I watched that one quite recently. Was that the big fight in the Azteca? No, that big fight actually happened at a smaller club when we were doing friendlies in Mexico. It didn't happen at the Azteca. Yeah. Burton scored all the goals in the entire campaign. Why? What would a show be without Rob Smith and Chris Smith having a back and forth, you know? Yep, that's exactly where it was. I was there at that Gold Cup Nilal game. I remember that game. That's when Tapa Nose get mashed up by Junior Bayano, one of the dirtiest players I've seen on a pitch live. Also have bench Mark when Peter Cargill came. That was a big addition. You are very true. Because the coach said it. He didn't really have that coach on the field in the midfield. And that's what Peter Cargill represented, you know. Both players are skillful. One of them, Ravel, has his career behind him. The other has a bright future. Not sure Ravel is committed. I'm not sure about Hutchinson's either. Okay, same answer you. You just watch Jamaica football. I know all these results. Watch every game at stadium. Team aggressive. It was just a little history lesson, boss. I'm not. I context is important, and the only reason why I brought it up is because the caller Rude Boy had mentioned some 98 things and how, you know, the way he was framing it is like that team was of no fault and perfect and blah blah blah. And I was just showing like it was an up and down campaign. You know, it wasn't like it was all a bed of roses. That's all. But you're right. That has little to no bearing on the next coach. So based on this program, maybe it was not the right time, but the program was ending aggressive. You know what I mean? We have talked about a lot of names. We have shut down some, thinking they're unrealistic. You know, where do we go from here? Literally, all that's left to go is for them to pick the coach. You know, and all we wanted to do today was try to have a discussion, see if some names could be brought to the floor that made sense to be the next coach. You know, I have some people that I have in mind, but they might not be quite ready for such a big undertaking. But in due time, I have some big coach that doing the thing here in the States, and they would definitely understand the culture because them born and grow at Jamaica. So national players should be committed, club career and the national team. I agree. Which game are you talking? The USA one, or the one versus Chile? Or not Chile, Uruguay, sorry. People like Chris try to divide even the 98 players. A lot of players made meaningful contributions. Without Ian Goodison header, do we even go through to the last game? Burton, Hall, Simpson through. Yeah, no, I think, you know, I think what ends up happening, Rob and Chris, is that because we have our dogs in whatever fight we have, we tend to like disregard anything else unless it's to go with the narrative that I have, right? So, you know, Chris might overemphasize the overseas base and Rob might overemphasize the local base, when at the end of the day, one of us having the favorites, and that's just how life is. But that don't mean you have to downplay the other people, them achievements as well. You know what I mean? So me see it still. 1990 players had guts and determination wanted to achieve on behalf of country and self. Yeah, I hear that a lot, Bugs Bunny. You know, like, will we ever get back to a place where the players, you know, have that love for our country and all these things? I disagree. I don't think that Fitzroy Simpson, Dean Burton, Paul Hall, Robbie Earl, I don't think any of those guys tried any less. At the end of the day, they're professionals and they know that their performance will aid them in their careers, period. So even if they were doing it for selfish reasons, even being selfish, they would have been trying to do something good and great for themselves. So I don't buy into that, you know, a man for born a KPH for one Jamaica win and fight hard for Jamaica. I just don't buy into that at all. Period. Haven't heard that name in a long time. Yeah, man, Junior Bayano, man. I don't even remember if it was an elbow or a shoulder or a forearm, but brother, the man rearranged top and nose. Ravel's ability to contribute would be sporadic as best. If he had come to the national team about 12 years ago, maybe, but his days are behind him for me. Yeah, man, you can't tell someone, you know. Vinny Congo, that would have been prior to my time. I would have just missed those teams. I would have probably still be prep school them time there. Yeah, so I would have missed those teams, but I heard a lot about them. The best team that I saw at Campion while I was there was actually a Colts team. Most of the guys that were on that Colts team that went to, I think they went to like the semi-final, I want to say. They would have gone overseas right after that Colts year and never played Manning Cup. Like basically the whole team would have went and got scholarships in high schools overseas, you know, and went on to go to college over there and thing. But to me, that killed Campion all through my time there is like most of the good players, you know, went to get scholarships overseas before they would have played Manning Cup, you know. So a lot of good Pepsi teams and Colts teams in my time there, but not many Manning Cup teams because most of the best players would have gone to go to school overseas. Yeah, man, I'm not take it as disrespect aggressive. I hear take, you know, I'm gonna never take it as disrespect, man. But respect. Lord Ravel, yeah, one of the boss, you know. Why is Ravel taking so long? Yeah, that's very strange, man. Man should be playing football. Colombia versus Reggae Boy gave Big BB the break in the office. Mad. For some reason, I don't remember that one. I don't know why I wouldn't have been at that game. I never miss game them time there. Yeah, I remember that because I was following Pele that whole season with Charlie. You know, that team with him and Bunzi, Eugene Barnes, Chinsu, Kwame Richardson. Yeah, man. Them time there was I never miss football them time there. Schoolboy, JPL, national team. John Herdman, good shout, but he ain't leaving Toronto. He's like the director and the coach there. He ain't leaving. He's good. So that would fall under the not realistic team aggressive, but I would love him as a coach. He's a good coach. Front foot coach as well. Big up yourself, Warren. I know you'll be around later. I will be covering the Argentina-Ecuador quarterfinal tonight, people. So look out for that. Probably start about half an hour before kickoff. So I want to say it's 9 o'clock my time. So just look out for that, people. We're going to do a live show. Stream the game and thing. Bad with bad guys. I say 11 players on the field, not just goal scorer. That is true. That is true. We're saying you were one of the ones that was upset that Messam lose the work. Messam was a fan favorite, you know, man. One thing about Jamaica fans, you know, when them like a baller, you know, no matter what them see from a next baller, it's hard to get them out, you know. And Messam was one of those. Big up yourself, Messam. Good youth that still. Yeah, man. Know him through my father and things, so good youth that, man. Jamaica is divided, Argentina and Brazil. Brazilian coach then. That is true. That is true. Brazilian coach, people had more time for him, you know, for sure. Start telling them from now that it must be stated in their contract that they alone must pick the team and no local coach as assistant. Yeah, that's something that needs to happen, man. Paul Hall, Simpson, and Burton are legend who had to fight their coaches just to come to Jamaica. There was no international window. Earl can go chuck off. Yeah, I agree with this, Rob Smith. Robbie Earl, not a good person, in my estimation. Full of BS, you know. I personally don't have a story, but somebody very close to me have a story in relation to Robbie Earl, and the way how he was described to me, I don't have no time for that, brother. It almost burned me sometime that is him score the first goal for Jamaica at the damn thing. You played Campion 93-94 when Chung Fa was the coach, then me not dead them time the almost, man. Me did cross the road at Peter and Paul still, but me used to follow the team them time there. Them time they like so you'd have play with like Megs And them man there, let me know. And the tall brother them did name Mac Morris. I feel like them man they on the side them time there. Let me know. Me know Megs did kind of more do him thing in a cricket pass campaign, but he was a decent Manning Cup defender as well. 98 team would be nothing without the players who came in to strengthen the side. It was an unbelievable second half of the campaign for us to reach the World Cup. Yeah, man, they were very much needed. Yeah, 1-1. I hate that sentiment, and I try to, anytime I hear it, I try to knock it out, you know? That game where Bibi scored versus Colombia was played in 96 as part of a celebration put on by the SDF. He scored a great goal from distance. And that means I would have been there then if the SDF put it on, because daddy think that. So I don't know why that memory is eluding me though. That 96 against Colombia. Thing is, Paul Alfie Simpson and Dean Burton, they paid their own plane fare to come to be here first camp. Yeah, man, they sacrifice a lot, man. Yeah, man, he was definitely a crowd pleaser. Messa make a mistake them too, man, but because he was a crowd pleaser, we just overlook it, you know what I mean? Boy, 1-1. Where you want the show? Go on. You want the show go on till tomorrow? I have to do one whole show for this, you know, 1-1. A serious question them there, you know, man. So, yo, we now go down in a 1-1 question, you know, come on forward off. Almost 3 hours made up on the live stream, people. I just want to big up everybody where they support the channel in this way today, the super chat way. So, of course, El Granero, big up yourself, brother. Respect. And I hope you full joy all of that food. It was a nice spread you described to the people. So, big up yourself, Granero. 1-1, always a support in this way, dropping £5 every time I'm fall in the building. So, respect yourself, 1-1. And thanks for contributing in other ways as well, dropping your comments. Namesake, respect. The man I try to get me off of the ribs, but I don't explain myself to him already. Can't get me off of the ribs, brother. Rastaman says a sweet eating. Alright, may I stop this Rastaman before them unsubscribe. Moses, big up. Best football players of countries that game versus United States in DC. Right before the World Cup in 98. We haven't played that type of football ever since. Go watch again. Alright, Moses sending them to school to go watch back some games. So yeah, man. Big up to everyone in the building that checked in. Thought it was a great show. Thought we got to a lot of content. You know, we had to drop some opinions today. Hopefully, you know, we kept it to a point where nobody won't be held liable after the show. I don't think it will come to that, people. I think we were professional enough to bring the news to you guys in the way we saw fit. Remember, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And also, people, look out for a live stream later. We're back into the football, getting away from the off-the-field stuff a bit. We're going to talk about we're going to watch the Copa America first quarterfinal, Argentina versus Ecuador tonight. So, yeah, man, that should be fun, people. Look out for that between sometime 8 and 8:30. I'll be going live. Definitely have a little time to talk about the lineups before the pregame and go through the predictions with the chat. And then if you love to watch football and don't like to listen to the idiot commentary that you get from the television, listen to a boss in that field and actually get some vibes. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, big up everybody that tuned in and everybody that, you know, made sure to smash that like button. I see that we did get to my like target of 100. I should ask for more because we got to 127. So maybe if I ask for 150 next time, we can hit that, right? But baby steps, people. We'll get there in due time. Yeah, man, I want to thank everyone again for the support and all the love. You know, keep the conversation going in the comment section. If you have some names that you didn't hear in this live content today, as far as the coaches are concerned, drop them. And we can let you know if you're a madman or if that can work. All right, people. So big up on yourself. And thanks again for the support. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. Manners and respect, people. Jason Gooner TV. And we are out of here, people. We are out of here. Big up on yourself and much love. Prayers up to all the yardy them suffering right now due to burial. Yeah, man. Lend a helping hand, people, if you can. Big up.